Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. I'm Steve Crane. This is episode 159 for the Bourbon and BS podcast. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. I got Nate Hale at the table, and I have Desalin Gola with us tonight. Desalin.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Desalin? I knew I was going to mess it up. Desalin?
Yeah, you're good.
Soft A. Soft J's. Desalin is he's from Columbus, Ohio. He's going to be joining us tonight. Obviously, we're going to be reviewing the James E. Pepper 1776 bourbon, as well as the Rocky Patel number 6. I want to thank our sponsors before we get started. Tinder Box at Easton. They are the ones that are providing the number 6 from Rocky Patel tonight. So Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. Check them out. The number 6 is going to be part of their Sunday, March 14th event. So not doing a smoking tent event for them this year. They're going to be having a patio party to kick off the season. So Rocky Patel, Oliva, Altadis, which is one of our sponsors, we'll get to just in a moment. And also Perdomo will have specials, buy 4, get 1 within those brands at Tinderbox at Easton between noon and 6, Sunday, March 14th. And also Fido Irish Pub, they're going to have the patio right next door. And they're going to have their Elijah Craig barrel pick available, 2-ounce pour for the price of 1-ounce pour. And also 5 Budweisers for $12. And also they will have lamb lollipops special for that day for purchase. So not quite the 10 event that they normally put up every year, but it's still COVID season. So whatever you want to do. So this is what they're going to do. Altadis USA, I also want to thank them. Josh Bentley, who was on the show last week. Right behind us, you have the banner Romeo, Julieta, Monte Cristo, H. Upman, also the Trinidad, which we featured recently, as well as many other brands. Those will also be part of the Tinderbox buy 4, get 1 within the Altadis portfolio. So thank you, Altadis USA. Also, BS Cigar Company, the Gold and Silver are available at Tinderbox at Easton. So check those out as well. All Nicaraguan. One's coming from the Placencia factory, and one is coming from the La Zona factory. So the Gold and Silver are now available. And also patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. You guys are amazing. The support is fantastic. We want to thank you guys for supporting us. You can do $5 tier, $10 tier, or $25 tier, or anything you really want to do. But that way you guys help us keep this thing going. It helps us get it out there. And also really the community page on Bourbon and BS podcast on Facebook. You have the Bourbon and BS podcast page, and you have the Bourbon and BS community page. Like and share both of those and share the podcast. That's really how this thing continues to grow. And you guys can listen in. If you're listening on the audio right now, you can listen in live every Wednesday around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've got an episode every week. So that being said, thank you guys for listening. Nate, Desalin, how are you guys doing? Desalin, welcome. You still nervous?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Call you out right out of the bat.
Appreciate you.
You call you out right in the beginning. Then it's already the cat's out of the bag.
Right.
Nate, how are you?
Good.
Cool.
Happy to definitely be here. With everything that happened in Texas over the last month.
Yes.
It's made my industry a lot crazier, and it's made our company a little busier.
Yeah.
People don't sit there and think, oh, how's what happened in Texas with their freezing and all their energy problems? How's that going to affect Ohio? No, it affects us greatly.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yep. So taking advantage of other people who just weren't big enough to be able to stay in the market. And
sure.
So we're trying to take advantage of that and steal all their customers that they gave up.
Business ethics.
Well, no, it's not
I'm
stealing.
just kidding.
They literally sat there and said, all right, you guys are done. We're letting you out of your contract. Just we're pulling out of the market. So we're like, cool, we'll swoop in and grab them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it just means like more work than what I normally already do. So
it's good to be employed.
Yes, it is. It's good to be important and employed too.
Employed. We'll keep that.
Okay.
Yeah. What was going on in tech? I was just
go ahead. Yeah. Absolutely.
For me, it hit home a little bit. My mother actually lives in Dallas, Texas. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
I didn't know that. No. How's she doing?
She's doing well. She's almost 90 years old, and they did lose electricity for about a day and a half or so, but yeah, they were fine.
That's good. I mean, so she's doing 90 years old and dealing with that on top of everything else. Right. Yeah, she's fine. Sure. She's just fine. All right, let's get started with. So what do we have? We have James E. Pepper, right?
Yeah.
1776. I want to say today, first part, the way we do this, if you guys are new to the program, the first part of the show is a bourbon/spirit review along with a cigar review, and then we review how they pair together. And then part 2, we'll take a quick intermission if you're listening to live, and then part 2 will be a life topic. Tonight, we're going to be talking about starting from within. And we're going to be talking also. So Desalin is a successful realtor in the Ohio area. And also, from what I understand from your statistics, throughout your agency internationally, ranked very, very highly as well. So you have a lot of experience in kind of a short period of time. And we're going to get into that and also his background. And then just in general, where we're at as far as with the life topic of starting from within in all aspects of life. So I think it's very relevant in today's times, just like we've been talking about in a lot of topics, is that this is something that we want to address some things that you can anytime going forward, going back in your life, that this would be relevant, but especially nowadays. And I think we can apply it very, very well to your story as well, Desalin. So we'll get to that in part 2. Let's get after this James E. Pepper. If you can pass the bottle over, I have nothing in my glass, so it's part of the job. So, Nate, you looked this up. I have never had this. I've been seeing it a lot. I know Dan in the studio audience said that it's very good in his opinion, so we'll throw him out there as well. So
I've never had it either.
Okay.
Which is surprising because this is a $30 bottle in the state of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right up your
yeah. You
right
always sit there.
alley.
You always sit there and compliment or throw shade at me for
compliment.
Okay.
Point it out, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I tend to sit there and find really good, inexpensive bottles, like the under 30, under 25 type bottles that I'll just fall in love with. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
And while you talk about it a little bit, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the budget-friendly bottles are always great to have.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and share this to different groups that I'm a part of on Facebook. So if you guys are also
that's what I was doing
live,
while you were doing.
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
sponsors.
Share it and get some more people involved in the conversation. We'll be monitoring the comments.
When you bought this, was it pretty like that? Were there quite a few bottles on the shelf?
Yeah, I've seen this every. I haven't been going as often in the recent months.
Yeah.
But every time I go in there, I see this and the rye sitting right next to it.
So it's kind of surprising because we always talk about how we'll fall in love with a bourbon, and then all of a sudden it'll get awarded some medal, and then after that the price goes up, and we can never see it again. So this actually won a double gold medal in San Francisco.
What year?
2013.
2013?
Yeah, so 8 years ago. So thankfully it won it before bourbon really boomed again.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that when the bourbon boom took off, in the last several years, like this one had kind of already had its day.
Okay.
So people weren't going after it because they were going after the newer things. But it's 100 proof, non-chill filtered. Surprisingly enough, it has what we would consider a high rye mash bill for a bourbon. It's 38% rye.
38. Okay.
So if you figure at least
That is
51, if at least 51% is corn, 38% is rye, well, there's your 89%. So that only leaves 11% for your barley or wheat, whatever they're using as the third ingredient. So if they bump that corn content up, then it's going to change that barley content quite a bit. So I'm definitely interested trying it, especially because we like rye. So see how it marries with it. Colonel James Pepper lived from 1850 to 1906 and was third generation master distiller for his family's brand. The brand was founded in 1780, and he was also part of getting the Bottled in Bond Act passed in 1897. So, but he was a business guy that traveled the country, traveled the world, not only promoting his brand, but he was also into quarter horse racing, Kentucky Derby, international races and stuff like that. So he was always traveling, always trying to push his brand. And the story they tell about him is like he used to socialize with what we would consider the elites of his day.
Yeah.
So people like the Vanderbilts.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Those are elites, yes.
John D. Rockefeller.
Okay.
Fred Pabst.
as in
Pabst. I think Pabst Blue Ribbon.
PBR, baby.
There you go. Charles
Won a blue ribbon.
Charles Pillsbury. William Steinway.
So who are these? Like, that's who he shared it with? Is that what you're saying?
Like, that's who he was hanging out with and like sharing his whiskey with, like being a very social elite type.
Okay.
That's who, like, that's the kind of company he was keeping.
I got you.
When
Okay.
he was traveling.
Okay.
And then over time, eventually in the 60s, the 1960s, as a lot of bourbon enthusiasts know, that was about the lowest point in bourbon history outside of Prohibition. So the distillery actually closed in the 1960s. Okay. Yeah, that's when your clear spirits were the hit, all the rage. Okay. So all your vodkas, your gins, the flavored vodkas, that's what really started to take off. So
that's what I brought.
Yeah, you brought tequila. You brought tequila, which is fine. That's fine. But no, I mean, so people in the 60s, you know, kind of that rebellion era, they didn't want to drink their dad's whiskey. They didn't want to drink what their parents or grandparents drank. So that's why their act of rebellion was drinking vodka and gins and stuff like that. So a lot of bourbon distilleries went under in the 60s and 70s. So this one actually closed up in 1967. And then in 2008, an entrepreneur actually revitalized the brand, and then they bought the old distillery in, what was it, 2008?
You got this, man. You got this.
And then actually restored it, and so it actually opened up in 2017. And so, like, if you go to their website, you can see pictures of, like,
wait. They just revitalized it that recent?
The distillery operation. Like if you look on their website, they'll show you pictures of what it looked like when they bought.
So when they won the double gold, where was it being distilled?
So
was it being sourced at that time?
Yeah, they were. It was coming out of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and Bardstown. They were
sourcing it.
Yeah, they were using both of those distilleries.
Okay, I got you. Okay,
and then they restored the oldest. So, like, here's a picture of what it looked like before they bought it. Like, we can
couple of open windows there.
A couple, yeah, just a few. But then they also show some of, like, what it looked like in the 1930s, and then that's what it looks like nowadays.
Nice.
So it looks, you know, like very modern, very retro. You know, we can post pictures of it on the community page.
Sure. Yeah.
There's like the 30 or 40 foot copper still that they have, that massive tower.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So straight bourbon. So this is aged at least 4 years. So anything bourbon has to be at least 3 months. Is kind of a review for some people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anything that's labeled as bourbon has to be aged at least 3 months. In order for it to be called straight bourbon whiskey, it has to be aged at least 2 years.
Okay.
Anything aged less than 4 years has to have an age statement on the bottle. So this doesn't have an age statement, so it's at least 4 years old.
Say the last part again for everyone.
So
the 4 year part.
So this is at least 4 years old.
Yeah.
If it was under 4 years old, it would have to have an age statement on it.
There you go. And this is 100 proof.
100 proof.
Yep. But they don't refer to that as bottle and bond because of the other aspects of it, correct?
Yes. So it wasn't stored in a bonded warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be from one distiller or one distillation season. But it is at least 4 years. It is at least 100 proof. So it meets those criteria. So
absolutely.
There's something else in there that they're doing that would disqualify it from bottled and bond. Because, you know, with the way whiskeys are now, like, if it did qualify, they could very easily just rebranded the label, just add that little bottled and bond, get the seal going over the top of it, and all of a sudden they start making probably a lot more sales on it. It'd probably become a hotter product if they did.
Maybe. I think the bottle and bond thing for most people anymore, people are buying, you know, a bourbon to try because it's got a celebrity endorsement. I feel like a lot of people, they just want to try the new stuff. You know what I mean? The bottle and bond, it's nice, you know, but I don't think that a lot of people buying different bottles are buying it because of that, in my opinion. especially with all like the smaller distillers out there and stuff like that. There's just so much out there. The history on this is what it's 1780. You know, as far as the history goes back all the way to 1780 is when this happened.
1780 is when the family started. Distilling.
Yeah, I think it's a cool story. It's cool that they brought it back out. So it's only about $30 here in the state of Ohio as far as and again, this is in Ohio for those that aren't regulars to the show or don't know how the Ohio Liquor Agency works, but it's a state-run liquor agency, so it's standard prices across the board. It's throughout the state of Ohio, so it's about $30. I think $29.99 on the shelf, and again, I mean for a 100 proof bottle, it's a good price. What do you guys think of this?
Go ahead, our guest. He's like, oh crap, I might want to take another sip before
Have you guys had Glenlivet before?
I've had Glenlivet before. Well, which one? Like 12 or yeah?
I do 18. But
18. Oh, pardon me. Go ahead.
He said Glenlivet 18, not Macallan 18. Calm down.
So, I don't know. I kind of liken it to 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your normal drink?
Yeah, you brought tequila with you. You're on
Woodford.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you are a bourbon guy.
I'm absolutely a bourbon guy.
Okay.
Actually, a couple of years ago, my wife and I was just texting her to say, hey, where did we go in Kentucky? We went to Buffalo Trace, Woodford, Reserve.
Yeah.
Just awesome. Had a blast checking that out.
Did you tour the places?
We did. We toured 2 of those.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's funny you say that because one of the facilities that this brand used to operate or eventually became Woodford Distilling.
Wait, what?
One of the operations that this brand used to have before they went
way back.
Under, yeah, way back.
Okay, way back. Okay. I was like, wait a second.
Became Woodford Distilling.
Okay.
So Woodford operates in one of their old facilities.
Nice. So there is a lot of history in this brand, the brand name. But what do you think? I mean, as far as you enjoying it? You can get as detailed as you'd like.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's got a little bit of spice to it.
Okay. Yep.
Do you?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
So anything spice for me, man. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm enjoying it.
It's got this nice, thick caramel texture up front. And very oily. Coats the palate. And then it does have that spice. It picks up about midway through, and then a decently long finish. Like that spice stays there, not enough to overwhelm your palate.
Yeah,
but just enough to let you know it's there. And then along with that caramel, like also a real heavy vanilla note to it as well.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's first of all, for those out there, 100 proof. This is, I think, fairly, in my opinion, it's fairly easy drinking. It is. There's not a whole lot of like that. Like it does have a lingering finish. I agree with you, but it doesn't have a whole lot of burn. It's got that little bit of heat, a little bit of spice, like DeSalin was saying. I mean, it's got something to it, but it's not like this overpowering heat or I don't know, like just this. It doesn't attack your palate. But it does have a little, and again, I did light up the number 6. So, I mean, again, this is not a pure review without smoking a cigar with it. But, I mean, I do have a little bit of lingering spice.
Yeah, like kind of seasoning.
Yeah, right there.
Right up there at the top of your throat.
Right behind your massive beard or whatever you call that. Your pet. Yeah, pet ferret that's on your face. But it's...
No, Pepe Le Pew, the strain.
Okay. They can't. I thought they canceled them.
They did.
But anyways, I think it does. I agree with you on some of the notes. I think there is a little bit of that like cinnamon to it, though.
Yeah,
like that spice is almost like a little cinnamon sensation, in my opinion, on that one. But overall, I think it's a very easy drinking and pleasant, especially for $30. Any more $30, at least in the state of Ohio, I think you're rolling the dice. You might have a little bit of like rock gut type stuff. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, this is no good at all. But I'd rather have the rot gut at $30 than $50, which is also out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, for $30, this is something that I didn't know anything about it when I saw it popping up. And I honestly thought that I don't know who James E. Pepper is, but like the 1776, I thought it was just this kind of Americana.
Patriotic thing.
Yeah, like this whole thing. Like, someone came out with this new, bourbon and they're throwing America all over it. And hey, buy it because America, you know, in bourbon. But now knowing the story, which all I had to do was turn the label, but
They
The
got
bottle-
right numbers on there too. 1776.
1776.
The bottle looks like a giant root beer bottle too, with that brown label
okay.
and writing. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it just looks like a giant bottle of root beer.
Do you like
Yeah.
root beer?
I do.
Do you say
Um,
root beer or root beer?
root beer, root beer. I don't say root. Root.
I don't know why. I've always said root beer.
No, instead of cinnamon, I get more of like a clove spice.
Huh.
But it's good. It's good.
It's like in
sorry.
silence.
It's not like
Huh.
Sorry. I thought you were
Nope, that was it.
thought you were gonna interject and come back and be like, yeah,
That's
no.
all I got. That's all I got.
Okay. No, yeah, it's definitely enjoyable. I kind of kicked myself for not trying this earlier since it's in that $30 price range. Not having
Why
this-
didn't you try it earlier? Was it because of the similar things that I had said
No,
about, like thinking that it was just kind of a gimmick bottle? It was like kind of a lower end
Uh,
without research, because I didn't research it. I just saw it on the shelf.
I probably had the same thought you did with the whole 1776. They're just trying to be patriotic in order to sell,
Yeah.
like not knowing anything about the brand. I mean, it was one of those where I was probably looking around the whiskey selection and it was like, oh no, let me try this bottled and bond rye over here. And
So you would have gone after it if it said bottled and bond. Like that you
no,
brought that point up.
that wouldn't have mattered. It was just like there's some like when I look at 100 proof, I might look at what else is going to be at 100 proof on the shelf.
Yeah.
And so like there was a bottled and bond rye that I found not too long ago that I absolutely love. And so something like that, it's like, oh, cool. I found something good. It was actually at the same price point this is.
Yeah.
It was, so I was sitting there going, bottled and bond rye, 100 proof whiskey that I think might just be a marketing thing. I'll go with the bottled and bond
I'm
rye.
glad I picked it
What
up.
was the price on that?
$30. They were both the same price.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a solid. We'll rate it. So what we do, I don't know if I know you've listened to some of the episodes, but so for those that are listening for the first time, we talk about the whiskey or the spirit, and then we talk about the cigar, and then we will talk about a rating system out of 10, 10 being the best, and it'll be the spirit, the cigar, and then the pairing. So 3 different out of 10 ratings. So, and Daniel says, I tried it because I first saw it behind the counter. So you just thought it was a special. You're like, oh, no one can get that. Someone wants that. I'll go.
What's the deal with that?
Yeah.
Well, because like some of the liquor agencies here in Ohio, either when they get their shipment or depending on what your store is, when they actually put those hard to get bottles out, they'll either put them at the counter or behind the counter, and they'll just put like a bottle on the counter to display. So like you literally have to go up there and ask them for a bottle because they won't put it on the shelf.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta say, I was at the Kroger actually picking this up. So in the liquor store, and it's funny, there are some shisty things going on still in these liquor stores.
Oh yeah,
I gotta tell you. So
Jim Canepa would have a field day with some of them.
So I'm not gonna say where I was, which Kroger, but I will say that. So I walk in, I look, and I see that they got a 1.75 of the Weller Special Reserve, and it's just sitting there randomly on top of something. And then I'm circling. This guy's talking to the lady working, who seems to be in charge now at this certain Kroger. I'm not trying to narrow it down for which Kroger, but anyways, they're talking about peach crown.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh gosh.
And so they're talking about that. And as I'm looking, he's holding a Weller Antique 107, and they're talking about it. She's like, yeah, this is why, because people are just hanging on to this. They don't know how long it's going to last. Summer's coming, and this is a really popular bottle, and so like we were limiting it 1 per. And so I was like, yeah, at least you got, I was like, at least you got the last, because I look at the shelf and there's Special Reserve, nothing Antique 107. I was like, I at least got the last 107. She's like, oh, did you want one? I can grab one for you. I'm like, I mean,
what else do you have back there?
I didn't say that, but she's just like, yeah, we're gonna put more out tomorrow. So I didn't even say yes. She just like went to the back and brought one out. I was like, well, now I have to spend $50, I guess. Shit.
I was wondering why I saw that bottle inside.
It showed up. It just showed up.
I thought
So anyways.
I thought someone donated it.
No one donated it. The podcast bought this one though because I had to spend the $50, so that came out of podcast money here on the table. So thank you everyone out there for the James E. Pepper.
Thank you,
So,
all of our patrons.
question for you, Steve.
Yes.
How often do they go up in prices?
The different bottles. It's interesting because what Nate said about this one in particular, the fact that this one won awards in the last couple of years, we found that like a Henry McKenna,
That's exactly
that
what I
was
gonna
one
say.
that here in Ohio was originally around like $30, and then it won the San Francisco whatever gold medal, and we saw it jump up to 45. So no, jumped up to 40. And then it was, I want to say this was all within like 2 months.
Yeah, it only lasted.
It
for a
went
couple
from
months.
$30,
Mhm.
which you could kind of find it, but not really because people were starting to catch on. And then it went to $40, couldn't find it. And then it went to $50, $49.99. So Antique 107 also did a similar thing without winning the awards.
Okay.
That was a steal at like $28.99. And now it's $49.99.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I think the state, and we've talked about it on the show before. I think that I get the fact that if a liquor store that's not state controlled in other states,
Right.
and they know that they're selling a bottle, say for $40, and then on the secondary market it's selling for twice that. I mean, why should the store owner, if that's how it's working,
Right.
and why should the distillery and all that stuff make less money if all the people in the background are just making this
Right.
shit ton of money, not even drinking it? You know, they're playing the game. So the state isn't doing that, I don't think, to that extent. But I think that between somewhere and people that are more knowledgeable with their connections, between the distillery and the liquor agency to the store shelf and everything else, are like, look, you know, these Weller 107s, for example, the Henry McKennas are winning these awards. It was a $30 bottle, and now we see it on the secondary market for like $125. People are like selling it secondary for triple or 4 times the price.
Yeah.
Why are they making the money? You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
it
right.
doesn't make any sense to me.
It-
Good for you for hustling on that, though.
That's kind of the positives and negatives of being in a state controlled state when it comes to that, because the good thing about it is that bottle is going to be the same price pretty much everywhere you go in the state.
Right.
So no one's going to gouge you
Mhm.
on the price. But downside to that is some of those things that you want to find tend to be a little harder to find because everyone's wanting to get them. Everyone lines up. Everyone finds out when their store is getting their truck delivered, and you know they just camp. Or like a couple months ago, you had people camping out at a Giant Eagle at 11 o'clock at night for what was being released the next morning. Like,
So I think that, I mean, not to go down this rabbit hole too much, I think that is not only because they want the bottles to drink, but they see it as a business opportunity, so they can do that. And this year, especially, you know, before it was people that did work from home or did just, you know, have traveling jobs, they didn't have to report to an office or whatever. You know, Sal, and you know, being a realtor, you could actually, if you were into this and you could make some extra money or whatever, or if you really wanted the bottle, you can set up your appointments around this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm unavailable until 11 o'clock for showings.
Right.
Because I'm standing in line at liquor stores around town. I'm not going to tell you that. But all right, Ray Cheshire, Ray, I don't know. Did you have too much coffee this morning? Ray's tuning in from Vietnam, and like, you know, when Nate was talking, he says, he's like, and in closing, and now he says, we aren't talking about the cigar this evening. We're 28 minutes in.
We're
man.
starting on the
Come
whiskey,
on.
Ray.
All right,
Fuck
let's
off.
everyone relax. Everyone relax. All right, Ray, it's good to hear from you. Love you.
Shove that league up your ass.
What was that?
What?
Jesus.
Tell us about
Everyone's
this.
a little on edge. I feel like everyone have a little sip of the whiskey. Relax.
Hey,
it's okay.
I pre-gamed with Willett 4-year.
All right. Well, now you're
I
showing
think I
your
started
cards.
ahead of you guys, so you know.
It's
I
fine. Everyone
apologize.
relax. Everyone's it's
My first time here. So.
2021. Everything's getting better. Everything's fixed ish.
No,
right?
I didn't know how much of a bourbon guy you were, so I poured
Oh,
yours a
no.
little bit lighter since you
Oh,
brought
is that
the
what it
tequila.
was?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready for the next
Well,
one.
you can pour your own. I was just being polite and poured the first one.
Okay, I
He's
appreciate
done
it.
being polite, clearly. So the Rocky Patel #6. This is one of 2 of the more recent releases that I can think of from Rocky Patel. We did the LB1 when we had Rocky on the show over the summer, which was awesome. And one of the reasons I picked this is there's 2 reasons, actually. One, our sponsor, Tinder Box at Easton, is having Rocky Patel cigars with Rob Wilson. He's going to be at the patio party this Sunday. So we're trying to promote that. If you're in the Columbus area or in the surrounding areas, you can make it. We should have a good time and have some good deals. Again, buy 4, get 1 on Rocky Patel and 3 other brands, Perdomo, Altadis, which is another big sponsor of ours, the biggest sponsor of us, and also Oliva. But this one also is something that, so Rocky Patel just celebrated his 60th birthday at the end of February.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky is this kind of busy, and I am this small on the spectrum also. There's 2 sides to this. That I texted him on his birthday. I said, hey, happy birthday, happy 60th, Rocky. Lighten up a quarter century, which is another recent release. Lighten up a quarter century cigar in your honor. Today, that was February 26th, I think his birthday was. And today, March 10th, he must have just been going through and just trying to, like, you know, address, because that's the kind of guy he is. You know, I mean, if you're in his phone, you know, he'll text you back, right? And so he gave me the whatever, like this emoji, praying hands. I don't think he was praying.
I think some people think it's clapping.
I think it's celebrate. Anyways, it was really nice of him to text back, and I appreciate it. I mean, the guy is super busy, but I wanted to do something of all the brands that are going to be there this Sunday for Tinder Box at Easton. I thought this was one that we can tie in his birthday, because I'm looking forward to. He did the quarter century, which is 25 years in the business, but he did a 55 for his 55th birthday. Kind of interested to see if he's going to do a 60th. He probably won't tell us, but
he's keeping that to himself.
Probably. Number 6. So of recent years, excuse me, Rocky Patel has been doing a lot out of his Tavacusa factory, which is in Nicaragua. A lot of the new blends are coming out of there. He's really focusing on some of the bolder blends. This one is definitely a Honduran heavy cigar. It's made in Rocky's factory in Honduras. And this is something that's got a Honduran Corojo wrapper, a Honduran binder, and then the filler is Honduran and Nicaraguan. So he's utilizing a lot of Honduran tobacco, which is kind of, I feel like, where his roots are. When he was on the podcast, and you guys tune back to that one. I forget what episode that was, but he told a story based on my request that I found out when we last had hung out, and he was telling me about. The story is basically, it's a short trip to Honduras that turned into almost a week long. There's machetes involved. There's bleeding ears. There's turned out to be, I would call it a safari, when he had a plane to catch the next morning. That then 3 or 4 days later, to my recollection, he finally made it back.
Wasn't there like a missing persons report?
There's a lot. There's a lot that happened. It's a great episode. Great episode minus his.
Didn't it tie into the
technical difficulties?
Didn't it tie into the show Narcos as well?
Yeah, we got on that at some point. It was great story. I titled that episode "What the Hell Was I Thinking," which is, I think, the last time that he's probably going to be on our podcast. But it was great for him to be on. Number 6. So this is something, you know, he's been coming out. LB1 was basically the code. When we did that one, it was the code for that blend when they were doing it. The number 6, when they are starting to craft a new cigar, according to their website, they group the cured tobacco into smaller sample groups to isolate and partition the finest sample. Then they give that group a number. This was based on the number 6 group.
All right.
So Rocky is basically, now he's got the quarter century. He has these things that I feel like he's naming that, you know, he's got the Royale. He's got
decade, 15, 20.
Well, those are all years, but he's got, you know, the Old World Reserve. He's got, what else is it?
Are you trying to say he's gotten a little simplistic as time going on?
I think he's just going back to the basics / just running out of names. I mean, at this point, I mean, he's got a hell of a portfolio that is just like, you know what are we going to call this one? It says LB1 on there. That's
at this point, you know, you and I have been in the industry long enough. Like, you got to come up with a name that's not going to get you a cease and desist letter from another company.
True.
The company I used to work for had a couple of those.
Yeah.
So, you know, even if it's a cigar that the company originally doesn't even make anymore, if you call your cigar that, like, they'll still come after you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But I like it because you do read about it a little bit. You learn a little bit about the fact that they're grouping this stuff into different, you know, areas to try to isolate the tobacco. And that's where the number 6. Now, the way they branded it, though, this reminds me, this is a very large band on this cigar. Very elegant, but very large. It definitely, it even has a foot band on it that at the bottom it says since 1996. So again, now we're in that quarter century here. But this reminds me of actually a little bit of an ode to his burn lounges.
Do you need to get your eyes checked? Because that says 95.
Yeah, probably 95.
95.
Good.
That's a great year.
All right, 95. And I do. Last time I was in the eye doctor, he says, "You're still good, but you're pushing 40. They're not quite as strong on the close-up as they used to be." And then I started like looking at my watch, and I'm like holding it up to like my nose. I'm like, "You're right, it's not." I'm like, "But I don't know when the last time I did that was." He got in my head. Anyways, yeah. So the primary band is a very large, takes up, on this cigar, it takes up easily a quarter of the cigar, a third of the cigar. On the Robusto, it takes up even more than that, obviously, based on the 5-inch. But I think it does give a nice nod to his burn lounges because so Jake, who was one of the founders of the podcast, he's now the burn lounge in Indianapolis humidor manager. And if you look at the side of the building, they have that kind of big marquee kind of going vertical. That's what this reminds me of. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's what it reminds me of. What do you guys think of the cigar?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you go. I'm a rookie to this, to the whole cigar stuff.
Bullshit.
So.
You smoke cigars all the time. Is your wife listening?
Oh, she is, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
you smoke cigars sometimes.
Right, I do. So is it okay to talk about the cigars that I do enjoy when I do smoke?
Talk about this one first,
Yeah,
and then you can compare it to some
I
of
was just going to compare it to those. So
that's fine, because I think that's a good way to do that. I mean, because there's so many out there. But I mean, what do you think about this cigar in particular?
I like it, man.
Say it's medium bodied. Anything coming out?
Yeah, it's medium body. It kind of gives, to me, it just is a perfect. It's not, when I smoke a cigar, it's not giving me the, I can't handle this.
So it's not too strong.
Right, it's not too strong.
Yeah,
and it's right down my alley, so I like it very much.
That's fair.
I get kind of this this creamy earthiness to it that when you start going over the blend, talking about how much Honduran tobacco is in it, and then saying that it's a Corojo wrapper.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me because in my mind, when I was smoking this, I was kind of thinking of the CLE Corojo. I think they have kind of similar taste profiles a little bit. I think this one's got a little bit more bite or spice to it. And I think that's coming from that Nicaraguan that's going to be in the filler. I don't know how much I don't know if Christian uses any Nicaraguan in that blend of his, but
I don't believe so. Not in that one.
Yeah. And this is that's what makes this cigar kind of stand out. It has a little bit of that similar flavor that I get from it, but then that's what makes it unique is having that Nicaraguan tobacco. And I like that Rocky has started using, some more of that Nicaraguan tobacco in some of his blends instead of like always being from Honduras and like everything he's done in the past. Like he's actually starting to expand. And I think a lot of his stuff now is actually starting to become a little bit more bold.
The more recent releases have actually, I agree. He's using a lot of like San Andreas, you know, as far as the wrapper leaf and a lot of his, like the quarter century has a San Andreas wrapper.
Yeah. And then also like more complex.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his more recent cigars have been. And so like when they came out again with the Old World Reserve, like I love that cigar. And that's kind of like what I was first comparing this to.
Yeah.
Was that Old World Reserve. Cause they're both medium body. Well, because they're both Rocky Patel products.
Okay.
They're both Corojo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So instead of comparing it initially to another brand, I was comparing it to something to still within his own portfolio. Okay. I think this one has just a little bit more spice and complexity to it than the Old World Reserve.
Yeah, I can see that. Not comparing it to anything else, it has a little bit of that spice and pepper, in my opinion, in the retrohale, which for those that are newer and not smoking cigars as much, it's pushing the smoke without inhaling it through your nasal cavity, and it kind of opens that up, and it works together with your palate in your mouth. So when we did the Old World. Now you're in my head. Like the Old World Reserve Corojo, I thought it had more like food flavors. This doesn't have that as much. This is it's got not really sweet, but it's got that spice.
I think there's just a little sweetness to it.
Yeah, maybe a
Like
little bit.
like what the Old World Reserve has, but I
Mm-hmm.
think I think it's lessened because it's got a little bit more spice to it.
Yeah.
I think that spice kind of mutes.
And when I say
sweetness a little
spice,
bit.
I don't mean pepper. This doesn't have a whole lot of pepper. It's not, and white pepper. I don't know what that is, but it's got more of like a spice. It's very, very pleasant. It's kind of going into the next aspect of this. It's kind of like the whiskey we're drinking. It's easy smoking. It doesn't, sometimes I'm expecting it, and this is interesting to me, is that I'm almost expecting it to have dryness to it. Not bitter, but like dry out my palate a little bit. It never quite gets to that point.
Okay.
I don't think.
I do get just a little bit of dryness, but like nowhere near like the cigar that I smoked in my morning walk this morning.
Yeah.
I'd actually stop after a lap and get a bottle of water to carry with me.
What was that?
An Onyx.
Okay.
But that's got that broadleaf Maduro.
Mhm.
And that's a characteristic for me that I get a lot of times from a lot of broadleaf Maduros is a drier palate when I'm smoking a cigar. This one, it's like it wants to dry out your palate. It just doesn't quite get there.
From a retailer standpoint, I will say this, that when we smoked this originally, when it was getting released, it's a good cigar. We're like, yeah, it's good. I mean, but Rocky's got such a big portfolio. There's a lot of medium body cigars. Corojo's being used on a lot of stuff that we already carry in the retail business, and then people started asking for it.
Yeah,
people started asking for it,
and
and
then
it was
got
like
a top 10 in aficionado.
Yep, it got what was the rating? Do you know?
I'd have to look it up.
But yeah, it got rated really highly. But even before that, it was just starting to gain attention, and maybe it's part of the marketing. Maybe it's just a new Rocky Patel. I don't know exactly what it was, but between this and the LB1, we picked up the LB1 first because it was, in our opinion, at the time, smoking some of the early production cigars, it was a little bit different than other things on the shelf. This is just a solid cigar.
This was number 9. The Corona size was number 9 in Cigar Aficionado.
Okay, Avi says 6.
Well, Avi's wrong because number 6 was the Hoya de Nicaragua numero uno.
A little jumpy tonight. All right, maybe he was looking at a different.
You'll suck again.
God. So go ahead, Salon.
What
maybe he said 6 because of number 6.
Do we know where they're priced at? Because everybody would want to know, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're coming in. I don't know what the MSRP is. Avi says you're right, Nate. There you go. Feel better?
I'm just glad that he could admit it. Yes.
You feel better.
Yeah.
No, this is around the 10, 11.
Okay.
Yeah. This is I would say anymore, this is an average price cigar. So that's where I would say that's why it does very well. It's a solid cigar.
Yeah. I mean,
and like I said, I'm not a big, so I will say the marketing behind it is nice. I've got the box up here. I've got it kind of covered by the banner there, but they did a nice job with that. That's fine. But it did a nice job. It's a very clean box. You got the white outline there on the inside, kind of pops as far as that goes. So if you see that, very basic black with a bold number 6 on the front. But when you have this on in a walk-in humidor, they know what they're doing because that stands out big time.
Yeah, that
especially
white.
As you get to that second row of cigars, the white just pops. So as we all know, Rocky knows what he's doing when it comes to marketing. If you've ever been to a Burn Lounge, or seen any of his stuff, any of his lighters, any of his accessories, they're fantastic and they are very unique.
I went to the only Burn Lounge I've gone to is his original one in Naples right after it opened up.
Really?
That was when I was on my honeymoon.
And how was it?
Oh, it was absolutely fantastic.
Good.
The thing that impressed me the most about it was the humidor's not all Rocky. Like he does carry other stuff.
Absolutely.
But obviously they're going to carry his stuff and compare, and that was in the Naples, Fort Myers area. So smoking laws are a little bit different than they are here in Ohio. Yep. So going there and actually going to a shop that I could sit down, smoke a cigar inside and order a drink. I was like, holy cow, can't do this back home. So this is yay. I love it.
Did you say holy cow out loud?
I may have said it to my wife. I don't know.
I like it.
Nate, where'd you go for your honeymoon?
Naples, Fort Myers,
Okay.
Florida.
Florida. Yeah, we drove there from Columbus.
Jesus.
We left at about 3:00 in the morning and drove there.
That is a way to test a new marriage. It's like a road trip for what, 14 hours.
Oh, it was longer than that.
I bet it seemed like it.
We arrived at our hotel at about 10:30 at night.
Well, good thing you're in the honeymoon phase. Literally. You do that 15, 20 years into it.
And it snowed while we were in Ohio and in Kentucky. So we didn't get out of the snow until we were almost into Indiana or Tennessee.
You're already getting called out on the Russian judge based on your comments tonight. And then Ian throws up here something in Russian. I threw it up on the screen.
Ian, what the hell, dude?
No, Abby called you out because you're just, I don't know. Got a little extra octane in you tonight. I like that. I like it. Should be good for the second part.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it because of the coffee I drank at 10:00 this morning? The blend's called caffeinated as fuck. So
that would have worn off.
It actually has to have a warning label about caffeine consumption on it.
Yeah, soda monsters.
I don't drink those. Cool.
All right, so this is the time. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, I was gonna say, hey Nate. So have you taken walks with good old Steve-O here?
Not with Steve. I actually started going back into walking in the mornings back during the summer. And then I did pick it up again recently. But that's because when I work in the office, every single day, I walk about 2.4 miles to my office. Because my wife works at the university. So we drive in, take a shuttle to the university. I walk from the university to downtown where my office is.
Oh, wow.
So walking to work was always just something I did every single morning with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So with us getting ready to get back into the office, it's like, you know what? I haven't done this in a year. Might want to get used to it now.
He's doing it for conditioning.
Yeah. And plus it also helps with my sleep schedule.
Yeah.
Because I'm not staying up until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and getting up 5 minutes before I have to clock in.
There you go.
I'm actually going to bed at a good time and then getting up, taking the walk. Although, like on Mondays, sometimes I'll do my walk in the evening just because then I can take that little extra hour of sleep, do my full day of work, and then walk in the evening when it's a little bit warmer, a little nicer. I don't have to wear as many layers.
So no, we haven't walked together.
No, we don't walk together.
I've had people on my walks though.
Yeah, I start my walk a little bit before Steve, I think.
Yeah, when I'm at the gym.
I start my walk at about 7 a.m.
When I'm at the gym.
So if there's anyone that lives out in the Hilliard or Dublin area that wants to come and walk with me at 7 o'clock in the morning.
There you go. All right. So here we are, the whiskey, cigar, and the pairing ratings. And Desalin, we're going to start with you. So this is out of 10. And you can give some description if you want. You can give it ratings. It's entirely up to you on what you think, but it's out of 10 being the best. So do the whiskey first, the James E. Pepper 1776 bourbon, which we've been drinking tonight. And also then after that, the number 6 from Rocky Patel. And then the pairing out of 10. You think it goes well together? Do you think it pairs well? Does it complement? Does it pull out something from each other? That's kind of the thing.
Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna give the bourbon. I'm gonna give it 8.5.
8.5. Okay.
For me, it's pretty good. And then the number 6, I'm gonna give that a 9.
Ooh,
I like it. And then as far as like going together, how about a 10? A cool 10.
You think it's a 10? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It goes well together. I like it.
All right, Nate.
Someone roasted me the other week for giving a pairing a 10, but
Mash out of there.
Just get a little air cancer and
just
on
out that way. There you go. Get away from me. You're dressed nice. I don't want to get that shirt dirty. Yeah, absolutely.
On the whiskey, I'm right there. I'm in that 8.5 to 9 range. I think it's a really good bottle. With the price point, I think if you're taking price into consideration, I think that would bump it to that 9 level. Just overall, the flavor and characteristic of it, it's a solid 8.5 or more. Pleasantly surprised buy this bottle, because like we both said, we've passed it up before because we thought it was just a marketing thing. Didn't realize like how long this had actually been around. So definitely pleasantly surprised with the bottle. For the cigar, because I smoke so many different cigars and I've smoked so many Rocky Patels, it's a good cigar, but I'm more in that like 7.5 range. There's quite a few even within Rocky's portfolio that I like just a little bit more than this. It's still a solid smoke, really good. It's enjoyable. It's different from everything else in his portfolio. Just not my favorite. So I'm, that's 7.5. But I do agree. I think it's a really good pairing because of the viscosity and the oiliness of the whiskey. I think that helps counteract a little bit of that dryness that I get from the cigar.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm about 8.5 on the pairing.
Okay. So for me, the whiskey, and again, we're drinking the James E. Pepper 1776 bourbon. There are a couple of people out there that were saying like they have a good cask strength. I think it was. There's a sherry cask one. All I've seen so far is this straight bourbon and then the straight rye.
That's all that's available in Ohio.
That's probably why I've seen that. I would say on the whiskey price thrown in there as far as being a $30 bottle and the comparison, what else is out there, I give it an 8. I think this is a solid bottle. This is something that, would it be a go-to? Maybe. I don't know. This is something, if I've got $30 to spend, I don't see anything else I want on the shelf that day and say I just want kind of a daily drinker. This is in the ballpark. This is something that I think is a solid bottle. I'm pleasantly surprised with this bottle. So yeah, definitely an 8 on that. The cigar, I'm at an 8 with that as well, because I get where you're coming from, Nate, with talking about like comparing it to the rest of the Rocky portfolio, and it's tough not to do that. It's tough even not to compare this to the LB1 because it came out at the same time as the LB1, but just a straight cigar itself, all by its own. Take like right now, I got the label off. I think DeSalin still got his on. But at some point, you have to take it off a little earlier than some, just because it is such a long band. It's a solid smoke, so I give it an 8. I think this is a good cigar. I think being mostly Honduran, which is not normally my thing. I do like a lot of Christian stuff. I like some of the earlier Rocky Patels, like the 1990 and the 92, which are very similar in my opinion. The Decade's a solid smoke, not always my go-to. I'm more partial to Nicaraguan tobacco typically. However, I'd say this is definitely an 8. I think this is a good cigar, which is why it was rated so high, I think, all across the board. And I think this is why, as a retailer, you're getting asked for it, because it's a good cigar. When you're asking for what's new, which is still part of our industry, thankfully and not, but I mean, thankfully that there's an opportunity for new stuff after all the FDA stuff that we were so scared about, is that this is something that you're going to smoke. If you're looking for a medium body cigar, it's different. Like you said, Nate, this is different than a lot of the Rocky offerings. So after 25 years to be able to come out with a new blend that is unique to his portfolio, I think that speaks volumes for what he's able to do with the different factories, the tobacco he has access to. I think this is fantastic. As far as the pairing, I'll stick with an 8 as well. This is an everyday pairing. This doesn't blow my socks off. I think they go well together. I think that little bit of almost hint of getting to that dryness point, as far as that goes, there's a hint on the palate of being dry. The bottle actually combats that very well. So this is something that, with that little bit of spice, kind of keeps your mouth watering a little bit. So it kind of keeps that palate going so that you can enjoy not only the whiskey but the cigar together. I would not do this pairing on like a 85-degree day outside. I think it's a little bit too much spice and stuff going on there. It would be too hot if I'm sweating. I wouldn't go with this. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go. I'd be interested to see how this cigar goes with like a wheated bourbon, a little more sweetness.
It's like a Makers,
or just any wheated. You got weeded right over there?
Oh,
All right,
yeah, we got Middle West. So, yeah.
I still got a little bit in my glass, but I do have half a cigar, so maybe I'll take you up on that.
We'll trade Daniel in our audience out. He'll give us a pour Middle West. We'll give him a pour.
Ryan Jones in Illinois asks a very important question. Are you wearing socks currently? Or have you been wearing flip-flops? I am proudly wearing flip-flops right now. As soon as it's warm enough, I'm in flip-flops as long as I'm not at the shop.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would, but yeah. I don't know. I don't like socks. I feel like they're constricting. You guys have anything else on this pairing?
Well, I wanted to touch on something you had said when you were talking about the cigar, and Rocky's still coming out with new blends after 25 years. What I think makes that even more impressive is there was a time point where Rocky just had that reputation of like every month or 2 months he was coming out with, it seemed like he was coming out with a new cigar, new blend. Like he was just constantly coming out with new cigar, almost flooding the market. And yet he's still able to come up with new blends that not only are they new, but they're good and they're getting high ratings.
Yeah.
So I think that speaks volumes to where he's come in his 26. This will be his 26th year.
Yeah,
in
he's
the industry.
expanded his portfolio, but he's also expanded the countries he's working with, the tobaccos he's working with, and it's nice to see. I think that when we again in the retail side, you talk to a cigar smoker, and we were talking about it today actually with another company, another brand that was in the shop. And they're newer, but it was one of those things that their initial response in the shop at Tinder Box at Easton was a little bit similar to the Rocky. You'll have someone come in and what's new? Well, I got the Rocky Patel number 6. I don't like Rocky Patel. I'm like, whoa, like what you smoked a lot of them? Like, I smoked a Rocky Patel once. I didn't really care for it. He's got such an expansive portfolio now that people will identify sometimes with a brand name. Mm-hmm. Not realizing that it's so expansive. There's so many different tobaccos. Like Rocky, like this number 6 smokes completely different, totally different taste profile, totally different tobaccos than say the LB1 or the quarter century that just came out, along with his other 20 to 40 different others that he has. So from a consumer standpoint, we always like to encourage you guys to try, even if you've had something from a brand that you didn't really care for. If something new's out, you're looking for something new, give it a shot, because sometimes that's the way it works. The same thing with the whiskeys. You know what I mean? If you have a bottle from one distillery, like I don't really care for it, don't close off the other offerings from those distilleries, because they might be doing that differently. I compare it sometimes to if it's like a Coca-Cola product, Coca-Cola or Pepsi easier. Pepsi does not taste like Mountain Dew. Both coming from the same company, both coming from the same boardroom, from same people that are making these soft drinks, but they are making 2 different products in the same realm. That's what I look at this as. The cigars are obviously both cigars, but they're making 2 different products. And it's really easy to compare. And you even did it. Like you compared this initially to the Rocky Patel portfolio. And there are so many other cigars out there that aren't made by Rocky Patel that when you're grabbing a cigar to try, I encourage you to keep an open mind. That being said, with part 1 coming to a close, and I'm looking forward to part 2, hearing from DeSalin and hearing about the real estate market, hearing about starting from within and his backstory. It is maybe not what you expected, but he has a hell of a story just coming to where we're at today. And it might shock you guys a little bit. So I do want to thank our sponsors. I'll start this time with patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. That's you guys. Not only do I ask you guys to share it, if you guys don't want to do the Patreon thing, at least share it, get it out there on Facebook so they can listen in and contribute to the conversation on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those podcast apps. Get it out there. That really helps us feel worthwhile about doing this. I think first and foremost. But if you guys want to contribute financially, patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast helps us out a great deal to do better and better on this podcast and to keep doing it. Also, Tinder Box at Easton for providing the Rocky Patel number 6. Again, they have the event coming up, patio party on Sunday, March 14th here in Columbus, Ohio. Rocky Patel rep Rob Wilson will be there, along with reps from Altadis USA, which is another big sponsor of ours. Josh Bentley will be there. Oliva rep Lee Whitaker will be there, and also Tim Kime from Perdomo Cigars. So 4 companies, they're going to be there. Buy 4 Perdomos, get 1 free. Buy 4 Rocky Patels, get 1 free. That kind of a deal going on, along with some other specials, along with our partner in that, Fido Irish Pub right next door. They have an Elijah Craig barrel pick that is delicious, by the way. You're going to have a 2-ounce pour for the price of 1 ounce, as well as if you want to take advantage of what they call the bottle keep program, you can buy a bottle of the Elijah Craig barrel pick for $125, which is way less than what they charge for the pours. And they will keep that bottle with your name on it at Fido Irish Pub in Columbus, Ohio at Easton. And you can come in anytime while that bottle still got some in it. And they will bring you the bottle and a glass. And if you want to rock, whatever, they'll bring it out to your table. It's like bottle service at your table at an Irish pub. You can smoke a cigar on the patio. Fantastic. So they're going to be a great, great partner in this Sunday. And also, like I said, Altadis USA, Josh Bentley is going to be there. They have supported us from the very beginning, and I appreciate that support. They're behind us on that banner. You know, Romeo Julieta, Monte Cristo, and H. Upman. We did the Trinidad Espiritu Series number 2 last week. Fantastic portfolio as well. And also Cigar Company. The gold and silver are available. They'll be available if you're at the shop on Sunday, March 14th, and they're always available as long as we have them in stock, and we have a healthy supply if you guys don't buy them all up before we get any more. But that'd be a good problem to have. So, guys, thank you very much. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Cheers to part 1, and I am looking forward to this part 2. Guys, stay tuned. If you're listening on the live, and if you're listening on the audio, make sure you click to part 2. And have a great week, and enjoy some of the spring weather wherever you're at. I think we're turning the corner. Have a great week, guys.
That was good.
Intermission.
Yeah.
So if you need to use the restroom, now is that time.
This would be a good time.
This would be a great time.
All right.
You use, yeah.
Pretty good.
Hey, get after it. I showed you where it was.
I think I know.
Just don't use the basement one. There's 2 toilets up here. Just use that. Either one. Side yard's fine too.
Yeah, that's what we call the outhouse.
It's a summertime. It's nice, right? It's like no responsibilities. You know, when I was in college, like I don't even know if I have this T-shirt anymore, but my good friend, who was a friend from high school, went to college together. There was 3 of us standing outside at a house party. We're peeing on the side of this apartment or whatever, house, whatever. And my buddy Fackler literally looks up at like the moon or whatever. You know, I didn't drink in college, but they were hammered. And he just puts his hands on his hips, just looks up, and he's like, you know, it's like no responsibilities, man. So my buddy Craig, who was also out there, he made a T-shirt with like a logo with like 4 guys, because there's 4 of us in the apartment. And you know, they're just like standing there with their hands on their hips, got the belt coming off. You know, he's a good artist. And on the back it says, it's like no responsibilities, man. Yeah, I thought it was funny. It was a great T-shirt that we shouldn't have made. Like, why did we print those? Yeah, right. Anyone listening out there, I hope you guys can hear us okay. I know that the levels I'm looking over at you and DeSalin, they're not quite as high.
Really? I thought mine are okay.
All right. Make sure, because we have had issues at different points with the audio going like a little staticky as well. So let us know if that happens. We can make sure to change that. Nate, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Anyone have any questions for us during, for part 1 or also going into part 2? This is a good time where I know that we've been on for about an hour. So if you are enjoying it, you're just tuning in, make sure you share it to different pages or to your own page if you think people would appreciate it. And if you, do have a podcast app and you guys listen live, please subscribe on the podcast apps as well, because that helps us out. And like it, give it a 5-star review or whatever you want. Hopefully it's 5 stars out of 5. And it helps us grow. This is something that I had a customer, and this is a local guy, but we have people all over the world now, thankfully, but also a guy that I would never have expected to be a podcast listener.
Really?
Yeah. Older gentleman came in, and he, he's like, I want a box of nubs or padrones. And Brian was helping him. Brian, who owns the shop at Tinder Box at Easton. And he gets up to the register. I'm ringing him out, and you know, hey, all right, have a good day. He's like, hey, I just want to let you know, man, I really enjoy the podcast. I was like, yeah, do you? All right. I said, yeah, sorry if sometimes we ramble on. He's like, yes, part of the fun. He's like, I got nothing better to do. I watch on YouTube. I'm like, okay. I don't know if it was, I think it was a compliment that, you know, he has nothing better to do, that he chooses to listen to us. That's how I took it. But if you are listening out there, appreciate that compliment. That was fantastic. It absolutely made my day. I love hearing that stuff. So
I know I had that one couple that came in the other day, and they were getting cigars, but happened to mention that they were just getting into bourbon, and so I mentioned that I mentioned the podcast.
Yeah.
And right then and there, the wife gets on her phone, goes on to Spotify, and clicks on it to start listening to the podcast. And
there you go.
It's like, all right, cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely share it. This is how it grows. If you guys are enjoying it, and I do that stuff with like things I listen to online, you know, like some of my workout tracks. If someone's asking, I share that stuff. I always like it on SoundCloud just because I think that boosts their you know, other people see it. Same thing with the podcast. If you guys are looking for podcasts, you know, it's always good to talk to people. Just mention you listen to podcasts, what kind of podcasts you listen to. Be bourbon, cigars, motivation, murder podcasts are all the rage right now. I mean, Jesus.
Gosh.
I worry about our next generation. A lot of murder is going to come up. And they won't be solvable because everyone knows the secrents now. That's that's what worries me about this.
They did too many seasons of CSI.
Yeah.
and they had 2 spinoffs as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah. What happened to a good old fashioned, like, you know, a movie like Seven? You're just like, that was a good movie.
Oh yeah, they didn't tell you how they
look
did
into
it.
You don't look into it. You're just like, that's fucked up. I'm glad I'm not in that boat.
I actually started watching The Mule today with Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get a chance to finish it before I had to come here, but it's a slow burn. So like, there's not a whole lot of action, but it like builds.
They're always tough. They're always tough. You're like in episode 2, you're like, I think this is gonna be good. You got to give a little something in the beginning. I feel like a little shock.
Well, he's
don't give it away. No.
He's a dick.
No. Well, it's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, it's kind of like his character is almost like his character in Gran Torino had he not died. Like,
stop. All right, Nate, you're cut off. You are sorry to blow your mics. Nate, you're cut off. No, shut your mouth.
How old has
your
Gran
mouth.
Torino
Shut
been
your
out?
Mouth. You cannot give away the end. Thank God if you're listening on the audio, you didn't hear this. But if you're listening live right now, sorry about that.
So
if you haven't seen Gran Torino by now, it's your
Christ.
own damn fault.
All right, I'm gonna give a quick little side note on that. I'm not gonna say what the details was, but when Avengers and Infinity War came out,
This is a great
and we were going to watch the movie, and someone says to me, I'm not gonna say who, but someone says, just because they were bitter that we were like all going, like the group of us were going, and they're like, oh, they all die in the end, because you say that to a lot of movies. Literally after the fact, they're like, so how was it? I was like, well, you're fucking half right. Like, literally. I remember watching that, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, Jesus Christ.
But they had no idea.
No idea.
Like, they just sat
No
there
idea.
and threw that out there
No
just
idea.
to
fuck with you.
Since you're talking about movies, did you guys?
Oh,
see
we're just gonna
any-
keep this is
any of you
intermission,
see,
everyone.
Oh,
No, go ahead, keep going.
also I don't have to do this.
No, yeah, I mean,
Or
if you're
that.
gonna
They
say
still
it, I
wanna
mean,
hear.
if you're
Oh, okay.
live, you got to see it. I mean, this is just a longer intermission. That's fine.
Anybody watched Coming to America 2?
I haven't yet.
What, you saw it?
Don't give it away. It just came out.
I'm not giving it away.
On
Amazon.
Prime.
Yeah.
Right.
I just felt like it was gonna be a bunch of recycled jokes, and it's all nostalgia.
Right.
Probably not that far off. Yeah.
The original was just
you-
so good. It's like, you could have done without a sequel.
They did for like 30 years.
Exactly. Like no
Just,
one would have
let it happen.
cared.
It was decent. Maybe put it that way.
All right, real quick. Snyder cut of Justice League's coming out in like a week. It's gonna be on. Like, I'm gonna do it in here.
Oh,
I'm gonna do it on the screen, and then Godzilla and King Kong also in here. Blow out the speakers. I watched the last Godzilla in here, and I mean, it was like
when is
rattling.
that? When is that?
So the 18th is Snyder cut, and then the 31st is Godzilla. So
What day of the week is the 18th?
I don't know. I'll let you guys know. I'll let you know. But yeah, we're gonna blow out this surround sound in my garage.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do it on the
I'm
day.
with you, Dan. I didn't think it was the it just can't. It can't compete with part.
It's a
number one.
feel good. All right.
Right.
All right. Let's get back on track here.
All right.
Jesus.
You ready for part 2?
I
I'm ready.
have been.
All right.
Oh, you're talking. All right. Welcome back to the Bourbon BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 159, part 2. If you haven't listened to part 1, if you're listening to the audio or just tuning in on the live or in the video, click back to the beginning or part 1. We did the James E. Pepper 1776 straight bourbon. We reviewed that one. I will say that we enjoyed it. And then also I'm still smoking is everyone still smoking it?
Mhm.
The Rocky Patel number 6. This came out in the last year or so. And this was kind of in honor of, I picked this cigar tonight because we hadn't done a Rocky, and Rocky Patel himself turned 60 on, I think, February 26th. So just recently. So we wanted to kind of give him an honor on that one. And also they're going to be part of the event at Tinder Box at Easton, which is our sponsor here, on March 14th, Sunday coming up, just this next weekend, on the Fido patio and at the Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. You're going to have buy 4 Rockies, get 1 free. Also, that deal goes with Oliva, Altadis, which is another big sponsor, the biggest sponsor of us, and also Perdomo. So those reps will be there in Columbus, Ohio at the Tinder Box at Easton, as well as Fido. They're also going to have the Elijah Craig barrel pick that they did for Fido restaurants here in Ohio, both in Dublin and in Easton. You're going to get a 2-ounce pour for the price of 1 ounce, as well as you can buy a bottle for $125 to keep at the Easton pub that they will have and bring out to you along with a glass anytime you guys have some, as long as there's some in the bottle. That's this March 14th, this Sunday. Looking forward to that. Also, I want to thank Altadis USA for that support, not only with this event, but all year round with the podcast. You guys have been amazing. Josh Bentley was on last week. Great episode. Check it out if you haven't already. And also, Cigar Company, the gold and silver are available. The gold is my daily smoke. Can't get enough of it. Love that cigar. So check that out. Silver is also amazing. If you like a bit of pepper, a little bit more, I think that's more up you like both of them, Salin.
I like the VS Gold.
I like the
but
gold.
I do like both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So check those out. And also patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. $5, $10, $25 a month. You guys help this keep going. I appreciate that support. We all do. And this is something that we hope to continue for years to come. And to continue to expand that. Nate and I even actually started doing a couple of Sunday night check-ins with you guys. We've had some good feedback on those as well. Basically, that's just a continuation of this and just a check-in, see how everyone's going, just kind of talk about the week. So thank you guys very much. Victoria Box says, don't forget time change. Spring forward and lose an hour this weekend.
Already?
Well, no, if it springs forward, yeah. Spring forward, yeah, you do lose an hour.
Just follow your iPhone or your Google phone, and it'll take care of it for you. And then change all your other clocks after the fact. Sometimes, so the car clock is always a tricky one for a lot of people.
Depending what
You
kind
leave
of
it for
car
6 months, and it'll be back.
So Sean in the audience can't figure out his car clock.
All right.
Jeez. So if I know in my car, if
No.
I ever want to piss off my wife, all I have to do is turn it to 24-hour clock. Oh, she hates that.
Doesn't address the time change.
It still affects the time change. Go ahead.
You still gotta you gotta move it. I don't care if it's 12 or 24. You gotta move it. Shit changes. Anyways, so here we are, part 2. Back on track. Take off the banners here, guys. So the topic tonight is something that it's starting from within. This is something that I was reflecting on this morning on my my morning walk, and I was listening to some stuff from a new speaker that I was actually introduced to in the last couple of days, and a lot of this stuff is about all the outside factors, everything that we've been inundated with our whole lives, especially this last year and a half or whatever it is. Last year, I mean, we're coming up on the anniversary of being shut down for 2 weeks or whatever. It's something that is very relevant, that it's easy to identify with the factors around you. You seek identity, people in your life. Now, the Twitter feeds, the news stations, all this stuff. But when it comes back to it, one of the posts I put this morning was, make sure you take care of, what was it? Your people. Now you're gonna pull it up. Basically, take care of your world first, before you try to take care of the rest of the world. Nate's trying to pull it up because I forget what I actually posted.
What page?
It just makes me think to how many times lately we've brought up the whole the oxygen mask in the airplane.
Yeah.
Start within today. Before you change the world today, treat your loved ones right first. This means to focus on your world first before being consumed by the rest of the world. Do the next right thing, love unconditionally, hold your people accountable, and appreciate what and who you have in your life and where to go from here today. You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
The most important person you need to treat right and love unconditionally and all the other things so that he or she can grow is yourself. What are you doing to start within and take care of your world and your people today?
God, I sound smart. You'd think
are.
I've been drinking in the morning.
Well, that's where all your t-shirts come from.
Yeah, well. Anyways, no, that is something that I think that is missed these days. It's people are focusing so much on the bigger pictures all the time. They focus on the bigger picture, and then they realize that this is when you get caught up in work. This is when you get caught up in just outside factors like watching the news and like what's been going on, especially this last year. I think that people get so caught up in the bigger picture that they lose their home base. Yeah. So Nate, if you're listening on the audio, you're not watching. It's always that the hand in front of the face when you have a problem, or like that is relevant to this a little bit. If you move that out there so you can see both what's important to you and also the big picture, it's about that balance. But I want to focus more on focusing on your own life first. Get yourself right. Get your home base right, and then you can have that good base. And then you can start fixing the world. And then you can start really identifying with some of the bigger picture items that we've been dealing with. We're going to continue to deal with the new ones that come up. Because if you don't do that, if all you're worried about is the big picture items, right? You're going to rack up credit. You're not going to be prepared when someone in your life or yourself gets sick, right? So that's going to happen. Whether it be COVID, cancer, whatever it might be. But if you're just focused on the outside things that really they do, and I appreciate it. I'm not trying to take away from that, but it's like, make sure you take care of your home base. And in that post, my biggest thing is that when you look at who's important to you, the last person some people think of, and I'm guilty of this, and this is not like a promo for me, is yourself.
Why? Why do you have
everyone? I think we want to help other people. We want people that we don't even know that we want them to have an opportunity. We want them to do better. We want everyone else to benefit. And the last person in line sometimes is yourself and your family and your friends and your loved ones.
I think we're so quick to start giving pieces of ourselves. Whether it be our time, our energy, our money, we are so quick to give of ours. And this kind of goes back to when we had the episode Give or Take.
Yeah, it is.
There are a lot of people that are so quick to give. And then before they realize it, they have nothing for themselves.
If you give all your money to charity, you have nothing for yourself. You can't pay your own bills. Now all of a sudden you're the charity.
Or if they're giving all their energy to work, then all of a sudden they come home and they have absolutely nothing for their spouse or their kids or whatever the case may be.
And that can be energy. That can be, what you expel during your day as far as that goes with energy, and you do everything that you think you're doing right is for the people in your life or for yourself, but it's really just to make yourself feel better, and then you still have your own problems. Before we dive so far into that, we have Desalin Gola on here tonight. And so I've had the opportunity of knowing him for a couple of years now, maybe more than that. 2, 3 years, 4 years, maybe. He is in the Columbus area, and we've been talking about having him on the podcast because we've had a personal connection, just knowing each other, and then also through what he's been doing in the last several years, which is real estate, which is very different these days. and he's had success with it. But we talked about having him on the podcast, and I'll throw you under the bus a little bit. He was like, "Yeah, no, absolutely, I'm in." And then it's like, when do you want to do it? And he's like, I don't know. I mean, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. And then finally he came to me and he's like, "I'm ready." I'm like, "What are you ready for?" And he's like, "To be on the podcast." I was like, "All right, let's do it. When do you want to be on?" And now here we are. So DeSalin has a different background. That's what I love about this, is that, you know, for many episodes, we've had cigar people on, we've had bourbon people on, we've had different people from different trades, we've had people with different stories. We've never had anyone with your background on this podcast, which is what I like about it, because, you know, when we first met, it was just kind of like, we're just two dudes, smoke cigars, and like, "Oh yeah, I'm into real estate." "Cool, yeah, I'm in cigars." And you're like, "Oh, you do a podcast," and you say the conversation continues, and then you were just featured in a local magazine. What was the magazine?
It's Real Producers, man. It's Real Producers is a magazine here in Columbus, Ohio, but it's also nationwide.
Okay.
I was on there as a rising star for January 2021 this year. I think I have it somewhere.
Oh, I have it somewhere. It's right here.
Oh, there it is.
It's right here. That's not me though.
But your name is on there.
His name is on the cover.
But yeah, Steve, you're an awesome guy. We've gotten close over the years, and thank you for having me over.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You mentioned it earlier. Real estate has been crazy these days. The Columbus market is always strong, and this one of the top, if not, we're in the top 2 for sure over the last 5 years. And like you mentioned, things are going well for me personally, but that just means that the people that I'm helping are doing really well. So
yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate being here. But first, before we get really into it, I want to thank my clients that are my friends, my family who support my business. And so thanks for having me.
What I like about, so like when DeSalin and I really started getting to know each other, just honestly, it was over the cigars. But before this last year, you know, we started talking about it, and it was interesting because he was doing well from what I gathered, right? And then all of a sudden he saw what I was doing with the podcast, with the Tinder Box, you know, with my career, if you will, as far as the social media and getting things out there. And you started asking me questions like, you know, like, so how do you do it? How many takes does it take? And all that stuff. I was like, oh, I usually one, better or worse. Right. It was more or less, it was just like, it's just content, you know, it's getting out there. And what I saw is your Instagram and Facebook, and all of a sudden you started taking pictures of your clients. You started taking pictures of the success stories. And in real estate, we came out of the 2000s where those success stories turned into failures because of the foreclosure, the bubble burst. You know, it was the subprime era. This is before you were in the market, right? You were not
2008.
Well, 2008, around that time, it burst. But I'm saying during the 2000s, it was the subprime time.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of warning signs. All these, the economy specialists were saying, we can't keep doing this. I look around now, we're kind of flirting with it a little bit with the low mortgage rates. But I love seeing the fact that you have, for those that don't follow, where can they follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is just DeSalin. My first name is DESALEN. And my website is desalingola.com. And that's DESALENGOLLA, desalingola.com.
So you follow him and you see this. Now it's these great pictures of families, couples, single people, all this stuff that you see them actually locking down these houses. And it's cool to see because you also show some of the houses. And not only do you show this, you know, the classic picture, which I can appreciate, is that, you know, you're holding the big key or, you know, sold or whatever. Like those are nice. But you also feature these houses.
Absolutely.
That you're like, look how great this is. These can be yours.
Right.
And I like the way that you do it because it doesn't feel like you're just trying to sell the house. You're trying to sell a home. And that's what I see in the faces of the people that are buying the homes.
Yep.
Give me a little bit of background, if you would. Give everyone a background.
Yeah. So
of where you When did you get in real estate? What year?
Sure. Got into real estate in 2015.
2015.
Yep. And
Now
had-
rewind.
Woo! So
Rewind.
I got into, just
Tell
to
us
give you a
the
little
life
bit
story
of
here.
background. Before that, I worked nearly 17 years for in a corporate world, and real estate was not something that I kind of thought about. Many people get into real estate because their family were in real estate, or it's something that they've always wanted to do. For me, it was a little bit different. It was more like my wife and I had a couple of kids, and I coached my kids in soccer and
Yeah.
a little bit of basketball, just because I'm a dad, and there was an availability to coach, and I stepped up and I got into that, right? So between work and family, I kind of got busy, and then the wife said, maybe you should be a stay-at-home dad. Now, I love being a dad.
Your wife does well, I assume. Then
She does.
I was gonna say, if she's saying that to you, yeah, she does all right.
She does. So I
Good.
said, what? Me
Good
being
for
a
her
stay-
and good for you, by the way.
So, and I said, hey, you know what? I love helping people, so I'll get into real estate, and that's just kind of how, that's where it is. I love helping people. I love being showing the people in the home, not necessarily like that I get to sell a home, or I get to help you buy a home so that you can create your own legacy into the home.
When you say you were in the corporate world, like what kind of things were you doing? What kind of companies were you working for?
So I was always in sales. With the
Okay.
yeah. So I worked for AT&T actually. So and I loved the job.
Okay.
And in downtown Columbus, you worked in downtown Columbus, right? You still do.
I
Right?
do. Well,
Wow.
work from home, but yes, my
Right.
office is
2020 downtown.
my office is across from Nationwide Arena. Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That used to be actually my walking path,
Okay.
Yeah. So
Back on the walking.
So from there, I brought, and my job, we were big in customer service and servicing people, and being there and just represent, always just being available. You said the best ability is durability, and being available, and that I brought that service into real estate, always to being available for my people. For
So
my clients.
huge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I had a
Absolutely.
buddy looking at houses. I mentioned him, pre-podcast, and literally we're sitting on my back patio, and they were looking at houses at that point around Columbus, and he had the realtor on speakerphone, and they're talking about this house they want to go look at, and he's like, "Hey, what about that other house?" He's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, no, I'm waiting on the what is it, the comparable offers in the area. What do they call that?
Comparables.
Yeah, so not too far off. I was kind of listening. I bought a house or two in my life.
The comps.
I'm not yet comps. I think that's what he said. Anyways, but after he hung up with that realtor, I'm like, he hasn't done anything, has he? He's like, he's working. I was like, no, like he's talking to you.
Right.
Like, and so literally 2 days later, I'm like, so how's it going? He's like, yeah, we fired the realtor. I was like, yeah, of course you did, because he was just talking to you, which you can't sell the house. You can't buy the house. Like you're waiting on him to put the offer in. You're waiting on him to do something. Like it was just one of those things. Like that's his job.
Man, that is key right there about waiting. You have, the way the market is right now, you have no time to wait. If you're buying in this time, if you're waiting to decide, that house is gone.
Got to put an offer.
Yeah, because your competition is not waiting for you.
I've actually had coworkers that have been in the market, and as soon as a house popped up and at least had the right number of bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and area that they wanted, they were putting an offer in before they even looked at the house, before they even drove there to actually look at it.
It's a real thing. It's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
Can I ruin this magazine?
Absolutely.
No.
Steve's folding it, putting creases in it.
I'm not going to put creases. It's a soft fold. Is this quote in the beginning? Is that yours? The toughest of journeys?
Yeah.
That was your quote. So this is where I kind of want to really tie in, and we're going to take it a step back here. We can talk if anyone has any questions about, buying, selling, or anything like that on the live feed. We absolutely want to really get into that. Victoria says, this is your mom, Nate, just scored a 2.875 which is stupid. When I refinanced this house in September, it was 3, and all of a sudden I was like, I got to lock it in. You know what I mean? Because I was a 4.75 2 years earlier when it was supposed to go above 5. And all of a sudden I'm like, what's going on? And now it's below 3. Anyways.
Yeah. So my wife and I bought our first home in 2003.
Okay.
Our interest rate was 6.21.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the average rate at that time was 6.5.
2003.
Yep.
And then it went
2003.
way low.
And I think our home was 162,000. You compare that to what people are getting now. That's basically buying a home in the 240 range.
Yeah.
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 The 240 range. 6 point. So
and they started giving away homes when I bought a house a year later in 2004. I took an 80-20 loan out. I'm like, wait, we don't nothing down? They're like, that's what the 20% loan is. I was like, oh, so we just move in.
Right.
Fantastic.
So
and then foreclosure alley came. Not for us, thankfully, but yeah.
Yeah. I think the key is, to make sure that you're paying attention to your credit score, to make sure that you are, if at all possible, while you can buy a house at 580 or above, you want to be in the 700 range. If you are in the 700 credit score, yeah. If you're the thing is, the higher your score is, the lower you're going to pay to the bank. So I've always encouraged people to say, hey, if you could wait, I know you want to buy now, but if you could wait, let's take a look at what we can improve on. Let's get your credit up, and then get.
That's a smart realtor though, because I feel like we're in the day and age, and before I really do want to get back to this story, because this is super impactful. It is something that we are now in that age. I feel like that you're more worried about if you want to get a house. You said you were at 6-something percent 2003. Mm-hmm. Talk about the generations, like my parents. You talk about people that are buying houses in like the 60s and 70s. You're in double digits.
Right.
Like you needed to save. It wasn't about living in an apartment. And I'm not cutting on anyone. That's
what my parents' first house was. Yeah, it was like in the teens.
Yeah, I'm not talking about. But the problem is, at least in the Columbus area, and I know other places, is that you're too worried about living in an apartment that has a great pool, it has granite tops, and has like this amazing master bath, and you're paying more than a mortgage.
Absolutely.
To live in an apartment. And then it's like, oh, I'm also leasing a car. I'm also doing this. I'm also paying off student loans. And you're like, so how do you buy a house? That is a good conversation. Right. And that is an honest conversation. That's why I feel like I'm so impressed by you as an individual. A lot of realtors, a lot of people that are trying to make a sale, all they would do is like, yeah, absolutely. What is your credit score? This is what you can afford. If you buy new, you can do this, but it might be a balloon payment. Are they still doing balloon payments?
No.
That was when I first bought a house. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I remember walking around a new house, and I'm walking around, I'm like, this is way nicer than the house we were looking at. And I'm like, what's this cost? And they're like, oh, this is this. And I'm like, that's way out of our price range. But the thing is, in 5 years, you guys will have better jobs. You'll have promotions. You're gonna make more money. I'm like, what? It's a terrible idea. Anyways, so going back to this article, this is what I like about it. It starts off, quote to you. The toughest of journeys begin with the small steps. And I'm going to read this first paragraph. That was the mindset of Desal Ngola coming to America, believing, and he has proven that sentiment true. Originally from Ethiopia, Ngola and his family migrated to Sudan when he was an infant due to...
Man, I like that. Say that again.
Sudan.
Good job. No, you said Sudan. It right the first. Yeah, there you go.
I felt like you were calling me out a little bit.
It actually is Sudan.
Sudan.
All right. Yeah. So for all the Americans out there watching,
so I got it right. All right. So we focused on that. Anyways, originally from Ethiopia, which I said right as well, right?
Right.
All right. Ngola and his family migrated to Sudan when he was an infant due to political unrest. Living as a refugee during the majority of his formative years greatly influenced his deep compassion for others seeking a place to belong. I think that from what you said already, that is very apparent. And then in 1990, you moved to the United States with your 6 siblings. An extended family. What's the total ballpark that number there?
So we when we first migrated, we lived in Dallas, Texas.
But how many people? It says 6
Ele-
siblings and your
ele-
parents and
ele-
extended family.
11 of us
So
lived in
11 of you. And as a teenager, this transition was challenging as his parents sacrificed their own admission to America so that he could seek opportunity and stability. Wow. I'm going to leave it to you on that one.
Man, yeah. So we moved here, like you said,
houses. I'm talking about you.
Right. Originally from Ethiopia, I grew up in Sudan, and we migrated here to the U.S. in 1990.
Yeah.
And originally, my parents did not come with us. My dad didn't. He farmed, and my father did not want to leave
In Sudan.
Yeah. He didn't want to leave because he had cows and goats, and they meant more to him than
No.
you? I mean, well, not really, but he was
It could have been his way of earning a living.
right.
for
Exactly. So yeah, that was kind of tough, and moved out here and assimilated quite well.
How
and,
old were you in 1990 when you came over?
13. I was 13 years old.
Easy. Yeah.
Right.
That's not a tough age for anyone.
Right. Yeah. And but man, you know what?
And moving to Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Dallas,
Texas
Texas.
is great. It's a melting pot, that's for sure.
You know what, man? Texas was we didn't we didn't stay there very long.
Because it says you moved and went to high
Columbus.
school here.
Yep. We moved to Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
And yeah, I love it here. I love Columbus, Ohio. I absolutely love.
Where'd you go to
Columbus,
school at in Columbus?
Eastmore High
Okay.
School. Yeah. We got audience here. Where'd you go? Whitehall. Okay. I actually ended up living around Whitehall. Still do, matter of fact. So yeah, I love it there. But yeah. So as we were saying, with if you're buying right now, what I encourage you to do is the first thing is work with a local lender, a local loan officer. If you're buying, the reason why that's important, that's so key, is that the local lender, when you're sending an offer, it is likely that the listing agent knows who that lender is.
Yeah.
It is also likely that the seller knows who that lender is. That is such a key for you. So that is the one thing I always recommend to people. And those loan officers could be referred to you by family, friends that have had a great experience.
Yeah.
And also talk to your trusted real estate agent. Real estate agents like myself know who to work with. You want to be able to work with someone who is working while you are looking. So
They want to do the job.
Exactly.
They want to get you a home.
yeah.
I think that's something is glanced over so much, is that you look for a house, right? But it is a home, right? That's the whole point, right?
Right.
Unless you're actually looking to do an investor property or whatever, that's a house. But if you're actually moving yourself in, or a family, you're moving into a home.
Right.
But go back, if you will. I can appreciate, and I'm not trying to take away. If we can talk about real estate if you want, but I'm more talking about you with the topic at hand, starting from within. So here you are, you're in Columbus. You picked up. Parents are across the world.
Right.
So who were you living with in Dallas, and then who did you move here with in Columbus?
Sure.
And you can stop me if you don't want to talk about that part of it.
Absolutely, man. I'd love to. I love talking about family. So in Dallas, I was living with my sister. My older sister had been here, since the late 70s, maybe 79. And that's who actually sponsored us to come to the U.S. And I was living with them while parents were still back in Sudan, and then in Columbus, I was living with my older brother, who was in college at the time.
Okay.
My older brother was maybe 22 years old, and I was living with him.
You were in high school.
Right, yeah, when I was in high school. And then my junior year is when they came. My parents moved to Columbus, Ohio.
So they moved here. So I don't know. I look at that as, I grew up in the suburbs, right? And,
right.
I had to deal with normal adolescent stuff, where, 130, 140 pounds, and, not really friends with everyone, but not really identifying any particular way as far as like what I want to do with my life. You're here and you have all these other things going on, and you're living with your brother. You grew up in a different country, a couple different countries. That's what I want to know is again, I always look at these stories, and your story's not obviously not done being written, but I love the fact that we've given a little bit of the background, but now here you are in high school. And did you go to college after that?
I did. I went to Ohio State.
Okay, so you stayed here local.
Yep, stayed here local and went to Ohio State. That was a dream to go to, and actually, the school's a different story for me, man. I was not the best student, whether it was in high school or or in college.
Okay.
But what I love to do was work, and what I love to do is work to make. We were talking about making other people happy.
Yes.
Is making my management team happy, making my coworkers happy.
Yep.
And that's really what I excelled in. You just tell me what to do, I'm going to do it better.
Why do you think that is?
I think I learned it from my dad.
There you go.
To be honest, my dad.
You're talking about your dad.
Yeah.
Staying in Sudan.
Yeah.
To take take care of the
Yep.
cows and the animals. Yeah.
And my dad took care of a lot of people, and that was by working hard. And I actually apply it to the job that I do these days. I was when it's all relationship based.
Mhm.
It's all referral based. It's just
It's all people.
Yeah,
It's all
exactly.
people.
Yep, it's all people.
So you get into it, and then instead of getting into real estate, right? So now all of a sudden you say you went into the corporate world in sales. What industry, if I could ask?
Well, first
So you graduate college from OSU.
I did not graduate college.
You went
at
to
all.
OSU.
Yeah, I finally
You
finally
decided you wanted to
I
work
finally
more.
gave in. I said, you know what,
I
Dad,
just
like
want to work.
school's just not for me. I know.
Yeah.
I know that's what you want me to do. That's what we came here for. But I actually like to work and
It's funny
help
how
people.
you can't shed those layers off.
Right.
You're like, I just want to
Right.
work. I don't
Right.
want to make just grades. I want to do something with it. I want to
Right.
see an accomplishment.
Right. So yeah. So
But what did you get into after? Like, so you decided to not finish college.
right.
So how old were you then?
Man, I think I was maybe about 20 years old when
20
I
years old.
realized, you know what, like my kids aren't listening to. I'm just wasting.
You had kids at that point?
No.
Okay.
I said my kids are not listening right now to the kind of quitting away from college. But I just decided.
Oh, your kids aren't listening
Right,
currently. I'm sorry.
Right.
I was still in the snapshot when you were 20 years old. I was like, how many kids do you have at 20? But you're saying, no, yeah, this is not a lesson on
Right.
whether or not to finish college. I'm saying this is just something I want to hear the life story, because for example, I will say this to your kids out there is that look at where you were at and your parents, what they did for you as a child to give you the opportunity to decide what you want to do with your life. This is something that you had those values and the ethics instilled upon you, and it's okay to take a different path.
Right.
But
absolutely.
there's no right or wrong way to do it. I'm not saying that. I just want to know where you were at. 20, you decided to part ways with OSU.
Mm-hmm.
And what industry did you get into when you said, I just want to work. I want to start helping people. I want to do stuff.
Yeah. So right after that, once I decided that school or college wasn't, it for me.
Yeah.
It just wasn't for me. I just, again, as I mentioned, I enjoyed working and doing well, and I got into I think I was working at the airport in
CMH at the time.
CMH, yeah. Always grew up around the airport, by the way, because my family drove. We're in the transportation business and taxi.
Felt like home a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So grew up in that, and then decided, met my wife at the airport. She was working at the airport McDonald's, which we call that our McDonald's. And
do you guys have anniversary dates there?
Absolutely, man. I proposed to her at McDonald's.
That McDonald's?
Yeah, airport McDonald's.
Were you taking a flight or just go in like before? When was this?
Yeah, 97. We met in 97. And
so you could just go into the McDonald's at that point. This is before, obviously all TSA regulations.
Right. All right. Yeah,
And
and
you're
then
still together?
we're still together, man. Married 16 years.
You sound so surprised.
No,
see?
I knew that. I knew the answer to that. I just love that. I love the sentiment there that you bring it back home.
Yeah. So I think it was that surprised you.
Not that you brought it back home, that you proposed at a McDonald's.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
that surprised me because
So let me tell you
knowing who you are now, you're not the typical. I'm not trying to offend anyone out there, but you're not the typical couple that I think is going to get engaged at a McDonald's.
So let me tell you about that.
But I like it. I love
December 31st, 2003.
It's a great day.
I had the ring in my pocket.
Oof.
We went to church, to my wife's grandmother's church, and the pastor is saying, you know, this is your moment. If you want to come and, I don't know, like just come to Jesus moment.
So this wasn't even
or-
premeditated that you're going to do it that night.
Yeah. Well, it was going to happen that night,
Oh,
but I
all right.
wasn't sure where it was going to happen. I thought maybe there. The pastor almost had me like, do it there. And then I just said, you know what? No, we're going to go to McDonald's and I'm going to propose to her right where we had our first kiss at.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That works out.
Yeah.
'Cause I was sitting there thinking, all
So,
right.
I didn't think we were going to talk about that, but I'll tell you.
I was
Oh,
sitting
you
there,
don't know
I was
what you're
sit-
going to talk about on this podcast.
I was sitting there thinking, okay, you got
this is
you
part
propo-
two. This is part two. This is
Right.
this is all.
Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Like
Okay.
at first, I was sitting there going, okay, you proposed at McDonald's. I proposed sitting on my couch, but then you sit there and you throw out,
First of all, Nate, that's worse.
yeah.
So I'm going to dig. Steve, when I get home, I'm gonna dig.
But it's the
through
place where you guys
pictures
first kiss, so it's
and-
like, okay, that,
and
that makes-
actually send it to you, or I'll post it
Put it
on
on
Facebook.
the community page.
I'll do that. So
Jeez.
what happened is we leave. I think church was over maybe close to midnight. I don't know. and then we-
New Year's Eve, right?
Yep.
You
Yep.
said, yeah.
So we drive over to
my 20th birthday.
to McDonald's towards the airport. She's like, "Where are we going? Where are we going?" So I just parked
Because there's not a whole lot else
there's
out.
Nothing.
There's
Where
not a
we-
whole
there
lot
is-
else out by the airport other than a couple
So it
hotels
wasn't in the airport. It was by the airport.
By
right?
the airport. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
by the
know that
airport.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
It's
yeah,
still there.
exactly,
It's
right by the
still
hotel-
there, or
yeah.
Taylor Road or something like
No,
that.
yeah, I knew exactly where
Yeah.
you're talking about.
All right.
So I pull up to the parking lot. There is nothing. I mean, nobody's there, right?
It's New Year's Eve. Yeah,
Right,
it's at
right. New
midnight.
Year's
Yeah,
Eve,
everyone's flown
midnight,
out
yeah.
already or
who's,
flown
who's
back.
going to McDonald's? Yeah. So I pull up there, and then we walk out, and there is the Columbus Airport police officer driving around. Hey, what's going on? And I said, hey, I have a Polaroid camera. You want to take that? You want to take this camera
The
here?
Polaroid camera.
Yeah, I give it. I give it.
What year was this?
This is 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is in December 31st,
Already
2003.
vintage, but yeah.
So he's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Hey, would you help us out? I'm gonna propose to my girlfriend here, and why don't you take a picture of us?" So he actually, the police officer, took our picture.
You have a Polaroid of this.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
That is awesome.
I fucking love it. Ah, here we are. Here we
Oh,
are. All right. So, all right.
That is
so,
such an American thing too. At a McDonald's.
Out of McDonald's. Yeah. So
better than White Castle.
I don't know.
All right,
I don't
so-
know about that.
All right. Let's get back a
Right.
little bit, right?
right,
So,
absolutely.
Knock your ass off first.
so you're super romantic, which is
Oh, yeah.
amazing, and I love that. I feel like this is still a thing, but it's maybe less of a thing these days. But you're at the airport now. You get in the corporate world. You say
Yeah.
sales. So where does this go from here? Let's paint the picture a little bit of where you go, because you did well in the corporate world as well.
I did.
Yeah. So what were you doing? What industry were you in?
So sales and service, like we're selling cell phone and
AT&T,
cable,
yeah, yeah.
internet, and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so you're doing well, and all of a sudden your wife comes to you and says, "Hey, you might want to start raising the kids." At that point, you had 2 kids.
2 kids. Yeah.
Now you have 3.
We have 3.
Oh.
So our boys are 3 boys. We live here in Columbus, Ohio. 13, 9, and 2 years old.
Little gap.
You know, yeah. She had the itch, and we wanted a girl,
And you were okay.
yeah, I was okay with that.
Happy to oblige. I love that. Happy to oblige. That's fantastic. All right. All right. So where does the hunger come from? You already talked about that you got it from your parents. Your parents are over here at this point, right? You know, when all this is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So wife says, why don't you stay home, take care of the kids?
Right.
Is there a gap? Is there like, hey, how can I do that and also be a little bit more free in my schedule to get to the point where now I'm in real estate, which was at one point a dream of yours, right?
To do the
You said in college, yeah, you were talking about like you want to get into this.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, just to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily real estate,
just
but
wanna
just
work.
to do work,
Okay.
to do it well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a gap there between the corporate world at AT&T to real estate, or is this just like you quit that and started doing this?
Yeah, no, actually, there was just a couple of months of a gap. I left work in April of 2015, and trying to just figure it out. What's next? What is there for me to do?
Yeah.
And then got into real estate in June 1st. Got through Handros, which
Hondros
is
College, yeah.
awesome real estate school. I think the instructors there do a great job.
I've heard nothing but good things.
What's that?
I've heard nothing but good
You're
things.
right, man. They're awesome. They're awesome. And then I just the way they deliver the stories and teaching you, and that's the thing, and the books, and I just absolutely just loved it.
Yeah.
Loved reading the books about real estate and what real estate does for people like us. I mean,
What was it about real estate that drew you to that particular field?
I think that the fact that if you look at all the millionaires and billionaires,
Mhm.
right? They all have one thing in common. They all have real estate background. All
So
of
you
them.
were still hungry. You're still
Yeah.
trying to provide. You're still
Right.
trying to like, hey, okay, I'll back off. I'll be a little more free to raise the kids.
Right.
We didn't lose that ethic, that
Oh,
work ethic.
absolutely.
You didn't lose that drive.
Yeah.
To do
My-
that's in you.
That's in me, and that's in my family, and that's in my just
Yeah.
my being, my background, you know, and you know my wife. You've met my wife.
I've met your
and-
wife
right,
buying
right.
cigars for you. I mean, we haven't had long conversations or anything like
Right.
that. I don't want
Yeah.
to get weird about this. I mean, she comes in, you know to sell, and
Right.
yeah. I'll get you
What-
some cigars that'll make
Right.
him happy.
What does
and
he like? And
not like that. I
Right.
mean, like, what cigars does he like? I mean,
right,
she knows you better than I do.
right.
I hope.
She did. So my thought was like, you know what? I am not going to be just, at home.
Yeah.
I would go nuts. In general, I'm a people person. I like to be around people.
Yeah.
And then real estate gives me that outlet, and I get to be with so many awesome people in my community,
Mhm.
so many great people, just in this world, man. And I'm helping you get your home, and that home is going to have you build wealth and a legacy that you could leave to your kids. And I'm a part of that, and I took that to heart.
So about 5.5 years ago, you leave corporate world
Right.
because your wife wants you to spend more time at home raising the kids, and then you get into real estate. That was 5.5 years ago. How do you go from, in 5 years, from dipping your toes and just
Right.
getting into real estate to, as Steve talked about before the podcast, like being to the level you are now?
Mhm.
Like, how does that happen?
I think when you focus on relationship, when
I'm
you
asking,
fo-
how did you do it?
Oh, how did I do
How
it?
did you do it?
He's
Like,
answering. Relationships.
Yeah, just building, like, my entire base is people. I'm helping folks that I worked with at McDonald's, which was my first job. You understand?
So it's a
To
network
have
that
that
you brought with
relationship.
you.
Yeah, to have that relationship, you're doing well. You have that relationship, that friendship. People see you working hard. People see you that you're looking at them, not what might be at the end, right? Like I help you buy a house. At the end of the day, there's a pay coming to me. There's a commission coming to me. But you know that I'm not working for that. I'm working for you.
It's
You get
okay.
what I
I
mean?
think it's okay to work for both.
Right. It is.
I think it's okay. You
But,
don't shy away from that. I mean,
Right.
because you're going to succeed if they succeed. You,
Right.
you get them into a home. And again,
Right.
I look at realtors is again, you talk about homes.
Right.
You're
Right.
getting them into a home.
Right.
It's a dream.
Right.
It's the American dream.
It's the American dream.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And from where you're coming from with the story that we just laid out there, is that this is you talked about your parents wanting you over here for the education and everything like that, and you showed a little bit of this hesitant moment where you're like, hey, I know this is why you
brought me.
yeah, you sent me over here, yeah,
Right.
was for the education. And now look at you,
Right.
3 beautiful kids, wife, got a home, you have a home,
Right.
yourself,
Absolutely.
and you're providing, in a sense, this outlet of homes for other people that you even are talking about. It's not even just the people that you had in your network, your group of people around you as you grew into this Columbus, Ohio base, but now you're bringing anyone else. Like, if I had someone like, hey, if someone look for a house, yeah, just give them my number. Like,
Right.
not a problem. I'll be
Right.
happy to help them out.
Right.
You just want to keep doing that.
Absolutely.
So I want to shift gears a little bit with all this story and all the things that you're talking about. Is this work ethic? It's this drive. It's the family. It's everything else. And I know not everyone identifies necessarily exactly with what you have had clearly, but how do you start from within? What is what drives you? Because I have no problem with the fact that a lot of times what drives you is the people around you, your family and everything like that. But it has to come from within. If you're always trying to make other people happy, it gives you happiness.
Right.
But when you fail, which I think you have,
we all do.
We all do.
Right.
You fail at times making other people happy. How do you keep going? How do you get regroup, recenter, and all this stuff? Like, how do you get to that point where you have to project this? Because everything I'm getting from you is this positivity. It's just like, I want to help other people. I want to do all this stuff. Right. But also I talk to you at other times, not just tonight on this podcast, but I talk to you and you project this just genuine, I don't want to say happiness. It's just this genuine at ease, which I know is not always the case. Everyone struggles, but it's like you have this simplicity of, maybe it is making people happy. Maybe it is you are happy making other people happy. But there's something there that at your core, there is this positive energy. You talk about work ethic. You talk about all this stuff. Maybe you don't even think about it. But there's this positive energy about you, which is why I did want to have you on the podcast, not just to talk about real estate, not just to talk about what you're doing, but you have this family life, and it's never always easy. You have your ups and downs and all that stuff. But where is that? Where is this positive core coming from? Because I think a lot of people, I know I need to hear it. I know a lot of people like to hear this, is that you look around, you're always comparing yourself to other people, not you, but we all are. And there's always this moment where you're just like, I want to strive to be like this person. I want to strive to have this. I want to do this. Those are the outside factors. But where is it coming from?
Man, to be honest with you, I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I just know that I believe in the world, man. I believe in a lot of good that there is in our world. You know what I mean? Like, I just find that just so many positive, like, why not be positive? Why not, like,
because things are shit around you. Not me. I'm saying, like, that's the answer you hear a lot.
Right.
The world's fucked up. The world, like, we're struggling right now.
Right.
And you're always positive. You're a good listener. You give good advice. Like, I mean, I'm putting you on the spot. Clearly,
you are.
Now you're nervous.
No, I'm not nervous at all. I just,
That's the whiskey.
It's almost like saying, as I said, I'm the youngest of 8, right? And I always, I'm almost like, okay, well, the first 7, they've done it right, and I'm here. I'm the baby, and I feel like the pressure to do well and all and all of that stuff. But
Okay.
I honestly just kind of feed off of it. I've seen my siblings doing it the right way, and I've seen my I don't know. It's just
All right, let me rephrase the question.
yeah.
What advice do you give to someone that's struggling right now? That they have this, they're in quicksand, right?
Right.
They're trying to do their best. They're trying to make other people happy, and they just can't, right?
Mhm,
They just
mhm.
feel like they can't. They probably are, but they can't, right?
Right.
So now you have these people out there that may be listening, and that they hear your story, and you're killing it. You know what I mean? You killed it in this other career. You killed it when you came over here from Sudan and Ethiopia. And you have this path that a lot of people don't have,
Right.
and you still have this positivity about you. You still have this inner energy around you
Mhm.
that you're going to keep moving forward. You're going to keep growing. You're going to keep providing, not only for yourself, but for your family.
Mhm.
So for the people that might be struggling, maybe I'm trying to rephrase the question.
Yeah.
If there's someone out there that are like, I've tried to do all this. I've lost jobs. I've tried to make other people happy. I've lost relationships. I feel like I can't win. I don't know if you've ever been asked that before, but this is something that with your name's on the front of a magazine, you got a full feature in there about your success right now.
Mhm.
You're telling us all about the story that led you to this. But if I was someone coming to you and saying, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not having the success you're having? I know there's a lot of factors in there that you probably have questions for them.
Mhm.
But what would you say from a treetop level? What are your words of encouragement and advice to be like, this is how you take the first steps?
Yeah.
Start, like I said, starting from within.
Right.
A lot of times when you're just focusing on the outside factors, and your outside factors have been doing well for yourself because of the people you surround yourself
Right,
with,
right,
which
yeah.
might be an answer. But you get to that point where you're trying to do all this stuff, and you just feel like you just keep getting tripped up. You
Mhm.
keep landing on your face.
Yeah. So always believing in yourself and believing in people. One thing I'll tell you that I do on a daily basis is when I wake up, I always have a moment. My wife is right next to me, but I always have a moment to myself. Every time I look out the window for 5 to 10 minutes, I have a moment to myself. How my day is going to go, how just the outlook for my week or for my day, for that exact day, and just always being believing in people. And then if you have questions, ask people at how to get better,
Yeah.
and and if he failed, and i- if I fail, if I put an offer in for a person and the work that I do, and we don't get it because there is a competition, right? I mean, if a house goes in a market and they're getting 50, 59 offers. I just put an offer on a house in Pickerington, and they had 59 offers, and it's like, I want to know why we didn't get it, right? Like, I want to know why my buyers didn't get it. And then they can tell me. So they're not going to tell me the exact reason why, but they can tell me a little bit, and then I want to improve upon that. What just trying to get better, one step at a time. And if there's somebody that there's so many agents out there that I love that are working for their clients, but I learn from them as well. So just always just there's just so many good people out there. Again, I'll tell you that over and over again.
Yeah.
Me and you have grown so much over the year.
Yeah.
I feel, and just learning from people.
Growing.
Yeah, growing.
Growing.
Yeah, growing.
Yeah. I'm going to throw it up here.
I hope that I answered your question.
You answered it. I lost my mouse here. Hang on. I was going to say, so Ian put it up there. You're asking those questions and trying to figure out the wrong instead of focusing on trying to take the next step. Like Avi said, you had an iPad. I had goats. Stop bitching. I like that comment a lot. That's called perspective.
Who said that?
Do you need
Avi.
do you need a charge?
No,
Do
I
you-
got it. Yeah. So I think it is. I think it is perspective. I think it is
Mhm.
something like
Mhm.
that. Yeah, you answered it. I just love the positivity about it with you.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes tough to, again, that's where I wanted to frame the conversation tonight. Learning your story is
Mhm.
that not everyone has that same linear history
Right.
in their life
Right.
and the generation before them. And so having you on, I saw it as an opportunity to have someone that is doing well. You have what used to be considered the American dream,
Mhm.
right? Which is very relevant for why you are here
Right.
based on your story. And I don't want to say we've lost that to a point, but it was all that work ethic. It was all that those things that were instilled in you.
Mm.
It's not conventional, and it's certainly not what a lot of the things that a lot of the 20, 30-year-old people are going through right now.
Right.
I'm not saying that everyone expects things to be given to them, but they all want it to be easy. They all want, the immigration thing right now to
Mhm.
be easy.
Mhm.
And when you went through it, it wasn't easy.
Right.
You were living with a bunch of people that were in your family.
Mhm.
Then you moved here, wasn't easy,
Right.
and you learned from it.
Absolutely.
It'd be great if it was easy. It doesn't work like that. And I think that you've really risen above that. But I don't think, knowing you, what I know about you and our conversations over the last several years, is when I ask you that question, you're like, I don't know. I just keep going,
Mhm.
in a sense. And to you, it's simple. But I think that's the lesson. You strive
Mhm.
to make sure that your core is good so that you can provide for not only your family, you can make your parents proud.
Mhm.
And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
No, that's exactly what it is. Whether it's my family or just my community, my city,
When
my
you say
state.
your community,
Mhm.
what's the community?
Oh man, just the entire state, the entire
Okay.
city, like
Everyone
everybody.
around
Yeah,
you.
everybody
Everyone around
around
you.
me. Everybody
All
around me.
encompassing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody around me. I mean, we are in we are in this together, right? So everybody in
love
my
that.
community. Yeah.
I love that. We're all in it together, not for just the other people, but you need to make sure that you take care of yourself
Right.
so that you can be that. I talked about earlier, like the home base. I think that is something that is, again, you focus. There's a good balance in your story of making these people happy and taken care of around you.
Right.
You take my lighter, I'll take that bottle. How about that? Fair trade for me. I got more butane in the house. No, you take care of your home base. You make sure that you're good, your family's good. And I think your career right now is a prime example of that. The fact that you are good at what you do and you have continued to master your craft of what most people look at as sales, but it's about helping people. The whole time you breezed over the sales aspect.
Mhm.
And the reason that I think that you're good at what you do, and this is just from the outside looking in, but I think this is something, is because you take care of your family first. That's why you got into this, because you had a good corporate job, but you left it
Right.
because you have kids.
Right.
You talk to your wife, you talk to the family, the home base. And I don't care if you have a wife and kids, a husband and kids, if it's just you on your own, but you took care of your home base first. And you took all these things, the work ethic and everything else around that, and you really just applied it to how can I help people doing something else that I can also take care of my family. I can take care of myself. There's that balance.
Right.
And I think that's so important. And I don't know if you appreciate it as much as I do. You probably do, but maybe not think about it. But I look at those types of stories of these people like yourself that are doing so well, and you have that humble quality that you're just like, I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you have a nice home.
Mhm.
You're comfortable. You take care of your family. The kids are taken care of. I'm not talking about the normal like relationship and family
Right.
stuff where
I
it's
get
like
it.
your kids piss you off,
Right.
and you and your wife are arguing about something. I don't know. He hasn't talked about that. I'm just saying. I'm just assuming that happens, right?
Right.
You're around those
Hey,
people that long
At the
enough.
end of the day, you're two different people. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you have these moments where it's like, I want to really push home. And Nate, I don't know if you have anything to add to this. I'm sure you do. It's starting from within, and that was the post this morning. Is it doesn't matter what your life situation is at the moment, but you have to live in that present and really make sure you take care of your people. And I am of the opinion that there are a lot of people in this last, and always the case, but we've talked about it a lot. Everyone can't shut up about it, myself included. In the last 12 months, throughout what we went through as a country and as a world, is that you started identifying with the outside factors before you might have lost your home base.
Mhm.
And I think that you have to have that balance. But if I had to choose between first and foremost, am I going to help the big picture or do I help the home base?
Mhm.
I got to start with the home base.
Better be.
Yeah.
And then we
Well, so
can
someone
can address the bigger picture.
someone actually sent me a message. They didn't put it on the live feed comments. Someone actually sent me the message. If you want to change the world, go home and love your family.
It's a start.
Because that's the start. Because if things are going well at home, it makes it easier to then expand that circle.
Mhm.
Because you're not necessarily as worried about what's going on at home. Because if things are not right at home and you're going out and trying to change the world, as soon as you go home, things are a lot different. But if everything's good at home and you start with that smaller circle and then slowly expand your way out, it makes it a lot easier to spread that circle outward.
No, absolutely.
And that's actually from one of the financial classes that I used to learn, or that I took and I used to teach. It started with the home. You got to take care of you and yours, and then that can put you in a position to be able to take care of those around you.
Yeah.
And if you take care of those, that doesn't mean you have to help the entire world by yourself. If you take care of you and then help those closest to you, those people can then help closest to them. Then those people can help closest to them. And so the circle slowly starts radiating outward. So you started with you, but it had a bigger impact because other people took it to heart.
Mhm.
And then they spread it and those people took it to heart. And so the circle just kept growing.
I think we bypassed it really quickly. You know what I mean? That's what I love about this. Like, so Sean's in the garage, right? And it's interesting how this community works, right? So we have our community and the Bourbon and BS community and all that stuff, but Sean literally lives in the same neighborhood. And we met each other through this community. And it's funny how it works is that a lot of times I feel like it's lost a little bit that we bypassed at some point. You take care of your home base, right? So you take care of your family. If you're doing that, great. If you take care of yourself, great. We haven't even talked about taking care of yourself in the essence of it. But you have people in the neighborhood that, with this mentality of the apartments and moving every few years and careers and everything like that, there's no consistency there. So why do you bother with the people around you from proximity standpoint? You it's easier to look at the bigger picture. It's easier to look at the bigger political or countrywide or worldwide issues, because that's all you get. That's what your Facebook feed, your social media feed is. That's what the news is talking about. But if your neighbor needs something, when was the last time you even like waved at your neighbor? That's what I'm saying. I think we bypassed this a little bit. You know what I mean? Like Sean, who's in the garage tonight, he's a part of the community. We didn't know each other until a couple of years ago, but we had some shared friends and all that stuff. Well, when I needed something, like if I needed, I borrowed a ladder from him. Like something as simple as that. You know, if you live in a neighborhood that you lived in for 5-10 years, I hope, like, I don't know all my neighbors around me, but I know that if I need to borrow something, I can reach out to a handful of people that I think is less common these days, because you bypass that from what we used to be. We're talking about our parents and everything like that, and when you were growing up in the neighborhood and playing, like maybe I'm showing my age a little bit, but it's like I knew the neighbors when I grew up in the neighborhood,
Right.
and neighbors change and all that stuff. And but you know, on like the street, you know, the Silent, you came over here for the first time, and you're like, I love the cul-de-sac and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, I know the neighbors that moved in here. I know the neighbors that moved in here. They're cool, like, you know what I mean? Like Abby across the street just had a birthday today, and we're Facebook friends. So I wish him happy birthday. I was invited to a get together at some point. It was just one of those things. It's like I didn't have that at all times. So it's like I'm now learning from all this stuff is that you have to make yourself open as a person. So that's I'll tell you that is that with the starting from within is that I want to be a good neighbor for those people. I want to be able to provide. I also, everyone working from home the last year or so, like not everyone, but a lot of people working from home, they all isolated themselves and they just stayed holed up. This was a great opportunity that some people took advantage of, that they got closer with the people around them, literally living. They share yards, they share walls. If you're in condos or whatever, open yourself up,
right?
Be a good person. You know, make sure that you can start and look at yourself in that mirror.
Be a good person, not when people are looking at you or people are seeing it, but be a damn good person all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah.
That's a struggle, though. And I'll tell you this, is that starting from within, a lot of times, I'm going to throw this out there here, is take care of yourself from a healthy standpoint. Mm-hmm. That was a big thing with this last year and always. And I was talking to someone that's a friend of mine, and they're from Ireland and all that stuff. And they were talking about how Ireland is still on lockdown completely. You can't go too far, like so many miles from your house because of COVID. But his whole family had COVID at some point recently, you know, in the last year. And we were talking about it, and I was like, we're talking about like vitamin, like I've talked about on the podcast before, the vitamin D3, talking about like zinc, talking about all this stuff. I was like, he's like, yeah, I wasn't before, but now I am. Like, these are things that we knew, but we didn't listen to. So this is something that you got to take care of yourself. I would say I understand the idea of taking care of each other first, you know, making sure the people around you are taken care of, but you can only do that for so long if you don't take care of yourself. So stop eating shit, start taking your vitamins, start taking care of yourself, exercise, walk, whatever you need to do. I feel like this is something that when I say starting from within, is if you need to change your diet, change your vitamins and minerals, change all the things that we know about, that if this was not an awakening for you with this COVID, and their biggest advice originally was wash your hands and take vitamin D3 and take zinc, and also exercise and stop. Like, who are the most people that are susceptible to dying from this are old people and people that have diabetes and things that you can potentially take care of. Do that first. And then when like this shit comes up, you actually can survive and you continue doing it. And then you tell other people about it, and then they survive. And then all of a sudden, like, everyone's cool.
Well, there was just a report released this week that said 73% of U.S. COVID victims all suffer from obesity. I mean, so again, that could.
I get it.
Not harping on people that are overweight. God knows there's plenty of us out there. But again, it goes back to what you're saying about taking care of you. Because Dan's like, I'm out.
How much weight have you lost? 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Good for you, Dan.
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
Weight Watchers.
Okay.
Weight Watchers. Which has been around for how long? A long time. Yeah. Just so take care of yourself. That's why I really want to get back to that. Starting from within, there's several things. We all know if you're going to be piling in cheeseburgers, you're going to be piling on stuff. Well, you're fucking yourself. I mean, we all know that, right? Like, it feels good.
It's no mystery at this point.
It's fine. These are life choices. However, there's also the moments that I've really learned. So I lost myself a little bit this last year, just like everyone else did. What I really have enjoyed from what has come from it is something that at 40, I have never been, and I'm still working on it, comfortable with myself. So when you have your family around you, Desalin, you have these people you're trying to make happy, clients and your family and everything else.
Right.
I encourage everyone to take that time you're talking about. You said it, but I didn't mean to breeze over it, but you took what, 5-10 minutes every morning.
Every morning.
Every morning. It can be 5 minutes, it can be an hour, it could be a walk. That's what I've been doing, is the walks. It's when I'm in the gym. And I still am not good at it. I distract myself with either the phone or music or whatever. But is that moment of being alone with yourself. It's super uncomfortable for a lot of people, myself included, is that you have to realize that there will be a time that you are by yourself and it wasn't voluntary. And I think that when you do this in a pointed effort to take time, when look yourself in the mirror, or you take that time to look out the window like you're talking about, and you can literally, depending on your life situation, you can be looking out the window and looking at a brick wall. But some form of self-reflection, and sometimes it takes looking in the mirror, sometimes it looks, looking out the window, but you have to be able to be comfortable with yourself. Because I truly believe, just like the foundation of a home, sorry to get too into a metaphor here, but with real estate, when you're looking at it, you want the bones to be good.
All right.
You're showing me a house that you're about to show here, and you're like, yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. The carpet's old, like the flooring's old, the cabinets, it doesn't matter anymore. You just want the neighborhood to be good, and you want the bones to be good, and we can make it better. We can build it up.
Yep.
And I think that's a great metaphor in my mind for you as a person, anyone out there, is that if your bones are good, if you have that self-reflection moment, if you continue to grow that stability of you as a person, everything else just flows. Everything else just really can build off of you, which is a lot of responsibility, but I think it's something that you can actually build off of and that people will gravitate to.
I agree. Man, Steve's going in today.
Try sitting next to him every week.
It's felt like that this year.
I've had a lot of thoughts. Learn a lot. All right. You guys have anything else? Let's go into closing remarks here. So closing remarks is, basically, Desalin is based on the conversation. What have you reflected on? What do you want to reiterate? What do you want to leave to the audience? You can talk about real estate. You can talk about what we've been talking about, whatever.
Sure. I mean, in terms of real estate, if your goal this year is to buy a home, I would encourage you to get ready, stay ready, and again, like I said, work with a local loan officer if you need to get pre-approved. If you're looking to sell, have a plan, because your home is going to sell, and it's going to sell really fast. And you're probably going to make a ton of money from the sale of your home. But what are you going to do after you sell your home? Right?
Yeah, if you sell it within the same market, you're talking about my house. It's like, if I stay in the same market, it's going to transfer to the next one.
Well, where are you going? That's the problem.
You have to get out of your market, right?
Right. So that's the thing you got to. So if you're working with a real estate agent that is that's able to negotiate for you to, say, for instance, if you're buying a home, right? You're selling your home to buy a home. You're going to have that same problem where there's low inventory, right? You can't find a home to buy. So, but if you're working with a savvy real estate agent that's able to get you a possession after the sale of your home, maybe you can stay in your home for a couple of months. I've done that for my clients. So just have a plan.
Yeah.
have a plan, like just like anything in life. Yeah. So,
It's
yeah,
like a chess game, right?
exactly. And other than that, man, just COVID is coming to an end. All right. We hope.
Don't ask me.
Right. We hope.
Ask
Nate,
me.
what do you think?
It seems to be on a downward trend. I haven't worked in that industry in a while, so I'm not going to speak on it.
Nate, go ahead. Closing remarks.
One of the things I had written down earlier when DeSalon was talking about his story, like you had asked him about where that drive and where that passion comes from, and he was having a hard time putting it into words, like exactly where that comes from. I think people that have that can find that joy and happiness, people that can do that naturally, have a hard time verbalizing where it comes from, because it's just a part of who they are. It's just natural to them. They don't think about it. It's just who they are. He just has a natural desire to work hard and help other people. So it's hard for him to describe where that comes from, because that's just part of who he is. I think people that, if you ask them like, what's your motivation, and they immediately come up with an answer, I think sometimes, not always, sometimes that's just kind of a facade that they put up. That's an image that they present. The people that have that naturally have a harder time to describe it, because it's just who they are, and they don't think about it. But gearing up towards this conversation, when we were talking about starting from within, I was also, did you want to say Ian's before I
Throwing up there?
I'm my own best company. I don't know anyone who holds the same opinions in every subject. Well, sometimes the best conversations you have are the ones you have with yourself.
Scary place to be, though.
It can be. Depends on how you are and the mindset you are at that time. But gearing up towards this conversation, not only so starting from within, I was also thinking about like the end game. Thinking a little bit further ahead, judging your own results, because if you start something, there's a goal. Typically, most people that start something have a goal, and how do you judge whether or not you've hit that goal? And there was something that I was looking at the other day that actually made me think of this even before coming here tonight. I think a lot of times, whatever that goal is, like that goal has to be personal. You have to look at it. You have to look at that goal from within, not from what other people think. So if you start something, you have a goal, and you need to determine from yourself whether or not you've achieved that goal, not base your success on whether or not other people think you have achieved that or not.
Okay.
So there was one where, so the thing I'd been looking at was people who just their own physical person, like made significant changes, but yet what they looked at the scale was the exact same. It wasn't trying to devalue getting in shape or anything like that. It was this person, if you look at their before and after picture, they look completely different, but the scale says the same number.
It can, yeah.
So the way I took that was, you can start a journey and you have your own goal in mind. And some people put too much emphasis on the opinions of others, whether or not they've achieved that success, instead of looking within and determining whether or not they've achieved that success. So when you're starting from within, you are starting with a goal that you came up with. You need to be the one to determine whether or not you've reached that.
Good. I'm going to read that post from this morning. that I did post. Start within today. Before you change the world today, treat your loved ones right first. This means to focus on, quote, your world, end quote, first, before being consumed by the rest of the world. Do the next right thing, love unconditionally, hold your people accountable, and appreciate what and who you have in your life and where to go from here today. The most important person you need to treat right and love unconditionally and all the other things so that he or she can grow is yourself. What are you doing to start within and take care of your world and your people today? Focus. I tell you guys, this is something that it's been a struggle for me. I put a lot of, like you were talking about, DeSalin and Nate. You know, you put other people first. That's a good place to be. I get it. I understand it, and I've been there, and I am still there. But there is a sense that when you try to get the best out of other people that you care about, or if you go and broaden the scope and you want the best for the world, you got to take care of yourself first. Mm-hmm. What are you bringing to the table? We're not all these success stories. We're not always there. We're not that one, like, this is where I was and this is how I got there. We're all works in progress. But you have to appreciate starting from within. You got to appreciate yourself. You got to appreciate your home base. And you can't feel necessarily, I want to say, you can't feel guilty about it. You can be proud about it. And you can't run away from it. You got to take care. If you're going to bring something to the table, you got to bring something to the table. Like, you have to bring it. It can't just be, this is what I would do if I was in your situation. This is what I would do if I was in your situation. This is what I'm doing in my situation. It's going really well right now. It's fucked up right now. Whatever it is, you are coming honestly. You're communicating. You are getting to it where it's like, let's hold hands and get through it together, or let me give you my hand and pull you out of it. And also at some moments, you actually have to give out your hand to get pulled out. But you have to start from within. I love seeing you, DeSalin, in this magazine. I love seeing the success. I love seeing the story. I love hearing about the story because it was not easy. You make it sound easy, and I admire it / kind of hate you about it. You make it look so easy, right. And I love that about you. And I think a lot of people appreciate that. But it wasn't always easy, and it's not always easy, and it won't always be easy. Yeah. You're gonna get this trip hazard coming up at some point. Right. So this is what I love about you, is that you love the present, you love where you're at. You know, outside factors right now in the world today are burying people. Yeah. And every time I talk to you, it's not burying you. You're just like kind of shielding it off. You're like, yeah, no, that sucks over here. Yeah, this sucks over here. And we're still doing well. We're still battling. And if it really comes down on us, we're going to be in it together. But what I want to really focus on is that when you say that, anyone out there says that or feels that, you have to appreciate yourself, because you are the reason that you can shield all that stuff out. And when all that shit's coming down on you, you're still covering your loved ones. You're covering yourself, that as it comes down, we're going to dig ourselves out, and we're going to keep growing. We're going to keep striving. We're going to keep going. And I love that about you. That's why I love the fact that you finally agreed to come on the podcast. And I got to say is that your core as a person is positive, and it's come with some struggles. And I think that everyone can identify with you, and they need to appreciate that it's not about wanting to be these other people or identify with these outside factors. It's identify with the reality that you, DeSalin, and other people that you actually, everyone out there that looks up to, that everyone goes through it. And that's why you have to start from within and keep that base as strong as you can, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally. And I'll say, if you're struggling with that, reach out or read more or listen to podcasts or just ask people around you for help. You got to get that base strong so that you can actually really enjoy the moment. And if that moment is dark, you see that light at the end of the tunnel and you're pulling people. And for those that can't, you're reaching out so they can pull you through it. So then on the flip side, you can pull them through it. But you got to start from within. You really do. You have to be strong as an individual. It's not easy, but you will. Well, thank our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton, Altadis USA, and BS Cigar Company, and also all you guys out there at patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. Thank you for sharing your story.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, Nate. I
Did it
appreciate
get easier to go as you actually started getting in? You were nervous before we started.
Man, yeah, I almost didn't show up.
I know. I was
Again.
texting you today, and you're
Yeah,
like,
you were like, "Are
it's
you
like
coming?"
I thought you were
Are we-
ghosting me.
Yeah, but yeah, I appreciated being here. I got comfortable I got comfortable the moment I got here.
Yeah, the whiskey
Yeah,
helps.
yeah, whiskey definitely.
That's what I said.
Yeah, Sean and Dan, thank you for being here. Yeah,
All you guys out there in Facebook and YouTube land, thank you very much, and all you guys listening on the audio, you guys are amazing. Cheers, guys! Happy
Cheers.
Whiskey Wednesday. Enjoy your week. We'll see you next week on St. Patty's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great week.